You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history.
We're trotting out and peddling the most racist, sexist, bigoted stereotypes.
And their colleagues have distorted the facts.
Take the worst I say and turn them to a game. Take the best I say and put them on display.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words.
Hunter Biden is not above the law. We want to send him to the DOJ, and we want to trust the DOJ to do their job.
I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing, that I can go campaign on and say we did.
The bill, as I said, codifies one definition of anti-Semitism. A definition that the author says shouldn't be codified.
RICO is not a crime. They want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the shitter to me.
Leadership of the plans to get them back into chambers. That would have been call number 3 with Speaker Pelosi.
You didn't have one call, you didn't have 2 calls, you had 3 calls. So Speaker Pelosi's comments that she didn't speak to were inaccurate.
That is correct, sir.
Welcome to the Off Label Podcast, your daily dose of sanity in an insane world. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to this this hearing. This was disgusting. And it was bad. It was bad in every way. You guys have seen some clips. You get to vote on who we skip and who we actually listen to, because there ain't no way in hell I'm sitting here for 8 hours. We're not going to get through it all. I guarantee it. But this is a sanctuary state governor's hearing with the Oversight Committee. And it's a rough one, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we're going to interact with you guys. You get to vote on who to skip and who not to skip. Let's have some fun tonight.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you can get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today, Rick is gonna try fresh lizard groin.
Nah, what the fuck? You got me fucked up. Hell nah. No, but for real, I got some mystery jizz for you to try.
You had way too many zins to be so delusional you'd think I'd try that shit. Literal jizz. Hell nah.
Oh, come on. At least try it.
Dude, I'm telling you, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. Dude, I'm not trying literal jizz. I'd rather swallow a grenade.
Oh, come on. Don't knock it till you try it.
All right, we finally made it.
I'm gonna need a few zins for all the shit you put me through.
Oh, shut up. You take more than I do. Rick left to take a shit, so I just put the fresh climax in his burger. He's gonna be pissed.
Ew, what the fuck did you put in this damn burger? This shit tastes like straight gonads and discharge.
Dude, I'm telling you, I didn't touch your burger.
Yeah, bullshit, dude. I got a cold sore forming on the back of my tongue. What the hell did you do?
All right, boys, that's all for today's vlog, so make sure to follow for more. Peace.
Dude, my fucking mouth itches like shit.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I'm telling you, if AI, ladies and gentlemen, if AI just does that, I'll be happy with it. I won't care. That shit is great. How y'all doing tonight? We got Elf in the house with us. Glenn Croy, Louis back. Rhoda's in the house. Carolyn Hall, No Jabsky. And Rick Donner. We got some more coming in here. We got Redneck over there. Amanda's on the other side. Louis is on that side too, over there on the Rumble. Oh, God. I don't know what to tell y'all about this. I don't know. I was listening. I was listening for most of the day. I paused during the members only for Rob. Kind of skipped over everything else except for one video I heard. Dude, this is bad. I can't delay it anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll do the opening remarks from everybody, and then you get to vote. I will start a poll on YouTube, Rumble. Hit up the chat on Rumble's side when I ask you for it here. You guys get to vote. Who do we skip? When they come up, when the time is ready, I will pause. I will put in a poll for YouTube. I'll put in a comment for the Rumble side here, and we'll add it up. We'll get it going. You get to vote on who to skip tonight, because there ain't no fucking way I'm sitting through 8 hours of this bullshit. But there are some damn good points from people. Let's get this going.
This hearing of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform will come to order. I want to welcome everyone here today. Without objection,
stroke time.
The chair can declare a recess at any time.
There were so many times
I now
I just
recognize myself
had to
for
take
the
a
purpose
breath
of making an
myself
opening
because I was
statement.
pissed.
Good morning. Today, the House Oversight Committee will continue to examine the consequences of reckless and dangerous sanctuary policies that jeopardize public safety. 3 sanctuary state governors from Minnesota, New York, and Illinois are here to testify under oath about why they allow criminal illegal aliens to roam free in American communities.
Tim Pontin,
Let me be clear.
and Kathy
Sanctuary
Hochul.
policies do not protect Americans. They protect criminal illegal aliens. That is a fact that the Abraham family knows all too well. With us today is the father of Katie Abraham, Joe, and Katie's stepmother, Michelle. In January of this year, Katie was tragically killed in a car crash near the University of Illinois in Urbana. Urbana, like the state of Illinois, is a sanctuary jurisdiction. Katie's killer was a previously deported criminal illegal alien who was driving drunk. He fled the scene and the jurisdiction and was later apprehended by the U.S. Marshal Service in Texas. Katie was just 20 years old. She had a bright future ahead of her that was stolen from her and her very loving family. The illegal alien who took Katie's life should never have been allowed into our country. This was a preventable crime. Unfortunately, there are too many instances where criminal illegal aliens have harmed Americans. Behind me are photos of some of the many criminal illegal aliens that have been captured in Illinois, Minnesota, and New York. These criminals have been convicted of crimes including vehicular homicide of a woman, sexual abuse of children, slashing a victim with a machete, and carjacking, among many other crimes. It's absolutely sickening that sanctuary jurisdictions seek to protect these criminals rather than protect Americans. Instead of putting America first, the Biden-Harris administration deliberately dismantled the border security to unleash the worst border disaster in American history. Their radical policies allowed millions of illegals to flood into our country. Americans voted to end the Biden border crisis, and President Trump has delivered on his promise to secure the border. He has taken bold, decisive action to restore our sovereignty and make America safer with each passing day. And here in Congress, we are working to pass the One Big Beautiful Bill to fund U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement so it can carry out the mass deportation of criminal illegal aliens. Despite President Trump's efforts to secure the border and enforce the law, Democrat-run sanctuary cities and states are siding with illegal aliens. For today's Democrat Party, it seems unlimited illegal immigration isn't a failure of policy, it is the policy. And that agenda is being pushed at every level of government. And this comes at a steep cost to public safety, strains law enforcement resources, and imposes a massive financial burden on both federal and state taxpayers. That's not just bad policy, it is a serious oversight failure. Congress must confront this absurd reality. State and local officials are actively undermining federal immigration enforcement, even when it's aimed at making their own communities safer. It's time to determine what legislative action is needed to stop this subversion and restore the rule of law. It's growing more and more absurd
came over to the room side.
every day.
He's like, fuck it, let's go.
In recent weeks, we've witnessed a Democrat senator who traveled to a foreign country for a wellness check
stay on, the other
on
side.
a foreign MS-13 gang member
all night,
and now indicted human
and
smuggler
you get to vote.
that ended with a photo op and margaritas on the rocks. The fervor among Democrats who take the side of illegal alien criminals grew so strong that I even had to deny a written request from members of this very committee
I reserve
to go
one
on
right
a
to
taxpayer-funded
override
junket
the vote.
to visit with this same MS-13 gang member.
Just one.
Earlier this year, I launched an investigation into the radical pro-illegal immigration policies of sanctuary jurisdictions. At an oversight committee hearing with some of our country's worst sanctuary city mayors earlier this year, the public was able to clearly see how they care more about illegal aliens than their own citizens. They have pledged not to cooperate with federal law enforcement officials, not even to hand over criminals in their custody who were originally arrested by their own local law enforcement officials for crimes. The absurdity does not stop there. Several of those local officials pointed the finger to laws and policies that their state governments put in place. I invited these governors here today because, as the chief executives of their states, they willfully ignore federal law, shield illegal aliens, and pass the cost of free services onto their hardworking taxpayers. It's hard to figure out whose side these governors are on. They shield criminals while their own citizens pay the price.
Whoa. Why are you fucking
Just a few weeks ago, Minnesota Governor Walz stood at a commencement podium and smeared ICE agents as, quote, Trump modern-day Gestapo, end quote. Comparing brave law enforcement officers who risk their lives to uphold federal law to Nazi thugs is not just wrong, it's vile and disgusting.
That must have been
I
their
can only
camera.
hope this reckless remark was not meant to incite violence. Assaults on ICE officers are already up 400% compared to this time last year.
Just D, how you doing,
And we
man?
witnessed repeated attempts at obstruction and assaults against federal law enforcement recently captured on video in California. Governor Hochul's sanctuary policies cost taxpayers billions to house, feed, and provide driver's license for illegal aliens while the cost to rent rises and hospitals are overrun. Her defiance of federal law
After
invites
opening
crime
statements,
to plague communities.
You all
across the
have
state.
free reign of what we
Governor
hear.
Pritzker faces lawsuits for obstructing ICE as he turns cities like Chicago into havens for drugs and crime. He's yet another governor providing free care to illegal aliens that many of his own citizens lack. These governors handcuff law enforcement from doing their jobs, harbor predators, and call it compassion. It's not compassion, and it's costing lives, hurting Americans, and draining taxpayer money. Congress must consider whether to defund every single penny of federal dollars going to cities and states that prioritize criminal, illegal aliens over the American people. Americans want to return to common sense. The Trump administration and this Republican Congress aims to restore our safety and sovereignty. It's past time for these governors to put America first.
No, I didn't see it.
Ranking Member Lynch
I watched
for
this
his
all
opening
day.
statement.
Just D.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to thank our witnesses. Governor Walz, good to see you again. Governor Pritzker, Governor Hochul, good to see you.
I'm going to pause right here and just say this is the Oversight Committee. You got Lynch as a ranking member. You got better, fucking stronger Democrats than Lynch to lead this. I'd even say Stansbury is better than Lynch. Why?
Again, Ms. Perryman, thank you for your willingness to come before this committee and help us with our work. At this very moment, as we sit in this hearing and at the order of President Trump, the National Guard are on the streets of Los Angeles and active duty Marines are on their way.
Yeah, because
At Trump's
they were
order,
encouraged to
Californians
riot.
are now forced to navigate an active military zone in their midst as they try to go to work or decide if it's safe to send their kids to school.
And that's because,
Because of Trump, no American city or state is safe as he lays this groundwork to take his militarization playbook nationwide. 2 days
Why are
ago,
they there,
he
though?
confirmed that he is considering invoking the Insurrection Act to
Huh?
expand the deployment of active duty military forces against civilians across.
I'm going to pause. Lynch, we all know, we all watched, we all saw, we all gathered the same fucking information as far as how this played the fuck out. I even showed you from local to federal, everybody that was involved with this district, this area, was inciting this shit.
Across this country, preparing for a future in which dissent is met with armed force and the machinery of war is turned inward on the American people. If unchecked, this marks not just a threat to our most sacred
Incitement
civil
to
liberties,
violence
but a violent blow to American
was
democracy
pushed onto
itself.
the American people as well.
Last week in
By
Los
you
Angeles, peaceful
and your
Americans
people.
came out to protest the administration's cruel and illegal mass deportation operations in their neighborhoods. President Trump inflamed events on the grounds as an excuse to unleash the U.S. military on its own people, sending in 4,000.
You mean how LA cops from local all the way up to state were told they cannot actually help, they cannot interfere, they cannot do anything, but let's go ahead and help because we can direct traffic. That was the only thing that happened, but you let people slide on through. You had little breaches here and there where motherfuckers got through and attacked ICE agents. And then, because federal agents were attacked by people inciting within your own side because they were encouraged to do so, more federal troops had to come down in that area to protect the federal troops that were there doing their job. The thing that America voted for? Getting the immigrants the fuck out.
1,000 National Guard members without the approval of the governor. They chose Boston because it's a place of intellectual freedom.
I will say this, there was a freeze up on their side as well. It is a hard cut for that. There is no lead up into this, and it hit fucking hard because when I came back to that, I was just like, what the fuck happened? But
They chose Boston because it's a place of intellectual freedom and respect for cultural freedom. And that trust was apparently misplaced.
ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Israel may have taken an airstrike. We don't know it's Israel, yeah, but I mean, it's fucking Iran. Okay, yeah. Either that or it's us. There is no other two between that, all right? But it looks like they may have actually taken some airstrikes on Iran in Tehran. That's what they were saying. Hey, we were telling them not to do it, and they did it anyway.
Ms. Ozturk's a Turkish national on a student visa to attend Tufts University. A video of that incident shows Ozturk walking along a public street
They
in
might
Boston,
have just
Massachusetts,
this is just something
my
coming
home
up.
city, when several masked figures just snatched her phone and backpack, handcuffed her, and hustled her into an unmarked vehicle. What's that sound like? What does that sound like? The Trump administration is putting extremism, cruelty, and chaos over protecting kids and families. Trump isn't focused on getting violent criminals off our streets. He's terrorizing our communities to fulfill deportation quotas with fathers and mothers, grandparents, and kids. And he's trying to strong-arm our city and state leaders to divert their limited resources away from serious public safety threats to instead focus on peaceful, law-abiding families just as he has diverted federal resources away from combating drug trafficking, violent crime, and terrorism to fuel his lawless mass deportation campaign. Trump isn't trying to protect us. He's trying to divide us. It's us and them. He's trying to divide us. And some people are helping him. He's pitting neighbor against neighbor. But it's not immigrant kids who are about to kick millions of Americans off their health care. It's not them.
I'm sorry, Lynch. Didn't you all do that for fucking, what, 8 goddamn years? 10 years? And now that they actually are willing to get down in the mud and sling the same shit you've been slinging at them for 10 fucking years straight, you're pissed about it? I'm sorry, I got no sympathy for you, you bitch-ass motherfucker.
And he's doing that to pay for a tax break for billionaires. And it's not immigrants who are using the military to silence Americans exercising their right to speak truth to power. These are not the strong and measured actions of the leader of a free country. They are the ruthless maneuvers of an aspiring autocrat hell-bent on consolidating power by any means necessary.
Dude, is there any way that you could just, like, drop your chair down and lift your head up? Because you sound like you just drooling spit everywhere.
Sorry. This is disgraceful. It should not happen in this country. This is wrong. Deploying the military against a civilian population is wrong. And if we don't...
You mean the civilian population that was attacking federal agents and their local police department did absolutely nothing but direct traffic? And it kind of seems like they directed traffic into the area.
Don't step up. This will continue. If we don't step up and declare what is right under our Constitution, then other cities, other citizens will meet this same fate. I'm proud of my Democratic colleagues who are willing to stand up to this thuggery.
Spammed with the most vile, evil,
Trump is a
hateful
wannabe
messages of all
gangster,
day.
and he's showing the world what he's about.
Whatever.
And I'm proud. You know, my dad served in the Second World War. He fought the Nazis in Northern Africa. He fought the Nazis on the Italian
Ain't shit
Peninsula.
gonna happen.
And I think he's looking down right now and he's happy that I'm fighting today's Nazis. He's proud of that. We all should be. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Without objection, Representatives.
Kind of sounds like the cucked up version of me.
Stauber,
That's
Finstead,
bad.
Fishback, Emmer, Morrison, and Craig of Minnesota. Representatives Miller, LaHood, Davis, and Ramirez of Illinois. Representatives Stefanik, Tenney, Lawler, Goldman, Ocasio-Cortez, Gillen.
I'm sorry. He says it like I do. It's Fishbach. But he says Fishback, which is actually where I picked it up from because it's fucking hilarious. But listening to him say it sets me off every fucking time. Hold on.
We all should be. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Without objection, Representatives Stauber, Finstead, Fishback, Emmer, Morrison, and Craig of Minnesota. Representatives Miller, LaHood, Davis, and Ramirez of Illinois. Representatives Stefanik, Tenney, Lawler, Goldman, Ocasio-Cortez, Gillen of New York, and Moskowitz of Florida are waived onto the committee for the purpose of questioning the witnesses
it's gonna
at
be
today's
long.
hearing. Without objection, so ordered. Our witnesses today include the governors of 3 states. We want to welcome you all here. First, we have Tim Walz, governor of the state of Minnesota. He was sworn into office on January 7th, 2019. His second term began on January 2nd, 2023. Governor, welcome back to the House of Representatives. Next, we have J.B. Pritzker, governor of the state of Illinois. He was sworn into office on January 14th, 2019. His second term began on January 9th, 2023. I'm going to yield briefly to my colleague Raj Krishnamurthy for further introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for yielding. In Illinois, we like
This dude's getting a verbal fellatio right now.
our pizza deep.
What?
Our politics lively. In Illinois, we like our pizza deep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for yielding. In Illinois, we like our pizza deep, our politics lively, and our budgets balanced.
Why the
last
fuck
one
did you
used to be a
pause?
miracle before Governor Pritzker took office. I know firsthand, as the son of immigrants who realized the American dream in Illinois, that immigrants make enormous contributions to our country. Governor Pritzker understands that too. His great-grandfather fled pogroms in Ukraine in 1881 and settled in Chicago to build a better life. That legacy has shaped his lifelong commitment to public service, justice, and opportunity. Before entering public office, Governor Pritzker built a successful business career and became a leading philanthropist, supporting early childhood education and establishing the Illinois Holocaust Museum. Governor Pritzker has delivered historic investments in education, workforce training, infrastructure,
You're voting on
technology,
who to skip.
and clean energy, all while expanding paid leave, raising the minimum wage, and defending the rights of all Illinoisans. Governor, thank you for your leadership and for joining us today.
Yields back. Next, we have Kathy Hochul, Governor of the State of New York. She was sworn into office on August 24th, 2021. Welcome, Governor. And finally, we have Sky Perryman. She is the President and CEO of the Democracy Forward Foundation. Thank you all for joining us. Look forward to your discussion this afternoon. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please raise their right hand. Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you all solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please let the record show that the witnesses answered in the affirmative. Thank you all, and you may take a seat. We appreciate you being here today and look forward to your testimony. Let me remind the witnesses that we have read your written statement, and they will appear in full in the hearing.
You know what would have been even fucking funnier? If they would have brought that Olivia Giuliana woman on to be the fourth fucking witness.
Record, please limit your oral statement to 5 minutes. As a reminder, please press the button on the microphone in front of you so that it's on and the members can hear you. When you begin to speak, the light in front of you will turn green. After 4 minutes, the light will turn yellow. When the red light comes on, your 5 minutes have expired, and we would ask that you please wrap up. I now recognize Governor Walz for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Lynch, and members of the committee. I'm proud to be here today as the governor of the great state of Minnesota. Wherever you go in this country, people tend to want the same basic things: safe neighborhoods, affordable household goods, meaningful work, good schools. That's what my administration has worked to ensure for our people, and that's what we've delivered. Under our leadership, Minnesota has been ranked the 4th best state to live in, the 2nd best state to raise a family in, and the 3rd best state for jobs. And when it comes to serious crime, Minnesota has hit its lowest level in over 3 decades, and we consistently have lower violent crime rates than the U.S. average. Now, we have a broken immigration system in this country. I think everyone in this room agrees with that. But nothing Minnesota has done to serve its own people stands in the way of the federal government managing border security and policies. While you've convened this hearing to explore the issue of so-called sanctuary states, Minnesota is not even a sanctuary state. Minnesota legislature has passed no such bill making Minnesota a sanctuary state, and I have signed no such law. Minnesota cooperates with federal authorities in a number of ways. When there's a convicted felon in our prisons, we ask about their immigration status and share that information with the Department of Homeland Security. We also cooperate with Homeland Security requests when there's a judicial warrant and when due process has been afforded by our Constitution has been served. But enforcing immigration law is not the role of local and state governments. The fact is, Congress has given federal agencies the authority to enforce immigration laws across this country. That includes Minnesota, and I support them doing so. It's the federal government's job to secure the border. That's why when I was in Congress, I visited the southern border and voted for bills that would have increased funding for Border Patrol, made it easier to hire qualified agents, and deployed advanced technologies to the border. Most importantly, I recognize that securing our border does not mean we sacrifice our constitutional values. Unfortunately, the cruel and misguided policies of this current administration fail to live up to those values. Minnesotans are angry with what they've seen happen to their neighbors. They're angry that the federal government has been snatching people up, putting them in prison, and deporting them without a shred of due process. There's been no notice, no meaningful opportunity to object, and according to the president, no way to get out of these overseas prisons once you end up there. And let's be clear, many of these are law-abiding Americans, people who have been granted asylum or promised protected status. In many cases, it seems these people were reported not based on a criminal behavior, but how they looked or what they've said and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even U.S. citizens, like a 4-year-old boy with cancer, sent to Mexico, away from his father, away from the medical needs, to a country he was not born in or had never been to. Americans deserve a sensible, humane, and effective immigration policy that reduces illegal immigration while protecting fundamental rights. Meanwhile, the administration continues to make life worse for hardworking Americans in a lot of other ways, trying to slash Medicaid, Social Security, Medicare, making basic household goods more expensive, and telling people they just need to do more with less. The American people deserve better. You all have the power to legislate, to investigate this administration's abuse and overreach, and protect the American people. And I have to say, I'm disappointed. At a crucial inflection point in our nation's history, Congress is choosing to spend its time trying to cast blames on states like Minnesota that have no hand in creating this crisis. While we may disagree on the best way to maintain border security and public safety, I know we should all be able to agree on a few principles: that everyone in America deserves due process, and that we live in a free country where people should not be locked up for exercising their basic constitutional rights. I hope you'll join me in enforcing accountability to those fundamental ideas, and I look forward to your questions. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I now recognize Governor Pritzker for his opening statement.
Mr. Chairman, ranking member, members of the committee, good morning, and thank you for inviting me. As governor of the great state of Illinois, I have seen firsthand how states have had to shoulder the consequences of a broken immigration system. I'm proud of how we have responded by promoting public safety, treating people with dignity, supporting our economy, and respecting the rule of law. Safe and compassionate immigration policies, I believe, are vital. In fact, my own family owes everything to this country accepting a young refugee named Nicholas Pritzker to its shores over a century ago. My great-grandfather fled the massacre of Jews in Ukraine and arrived in the United States when he was just 10, without a penny to his name. A social service agency provided him a place to live, a public school taught him English, a public university allowed him to pursue a higher education. My father and grandfather both were naval officers and raised their families with a powerful sense of duty to community and patriotism to our country that still lives deep in my generation. Both were successful entrepreneurs. My family story is not unique. Today, Illinois is home to 1.9 million immigrants.
Rumble side, I want you to hit up in the chat right here. Should we or should we not skip the opening statement of the fourth witness, which is the woman dressed in white, Ms. Perryman? Let me know. Yes or no?
Just like my great-grandfather, they are hardworking, raising families, and paying taxes. Our state and our country have been strengthened by people from across the globe seeking freedom, opportunity, and refuge here. Recently, children, pregnant women, and others fled poverty, violence, and persecution, seeking asylum at our border. Some border state politicians chose to treat them as political pawns, busing them to states like mine and dropping them off in the dead of night in the freezing cold. Illinois chose a different path. Faced with a humanitarian crisis, our state made sure children and families did not go hungry or freeze to death. By doing so, we helped to maintain safety and order in Chicago. As governor, one of my responsibilities is to keep the public safe. That is why I expanded our state police, banned assault weapons and ghost guns to take guns out of the hands of criminals, and invested more than ever before in violence prevention. As a result, violent crime is down in Illinois, and Chicago ended 2024 with its lowest homicide rate in 5 years. As I have consistently said, violent criminals have no place on our streets, and if they are undocumented, I want them out of Illinois and out of our country. And as we are reminded in Los Angeles this week, we can all agree that violence of any kind, whomever it is directed at, is unacceptable. People must be held accountable to the law. Illinois follows the law, but let me be clear, we expect the federal government to follow the law too. We will not participate in abuses of power. We will not violate court orders. We will not ignore the Constitution. We will not defy the Supreme Court. We will not take away people's rights to peacefully protest. We also respect, and expect this administration to respect, the traditions and legal precedent that dictate how and when our National Guard and military are deployed. As governor, I've had to make the difficult decision to call the Illinois National Guard into service. I have always done it in partnership with my local governments and law enforcement, and with deep and abiding respect for the sacrifice I was asking of our volunteer armed forces. It's wrong to deploy the National Guard and active duty Marines into an American city over the objection of local law enforcement, just to inflame a situation and create a crisis. Just as it's wrong to tear children away from their homes and their mothers and fathers who have spent decades living and working in our communities, raising their families. Besides being a father and husband, the greatest honor of my life has been serving as governor. I believe with my whole heart that Illinois is the best place in the country to live, work, and to raise a family. Illinoisans take seriously their responsibility in upholding the most fundamental values of our nation. Values like kindness, empathy, hard work, and fair play. Our people embody the most American ideal.
He's talking about his area.
Where your life began matters far less than the dreams you can realize.
He's talking about his
for
area,
yourself
Wes.
And
You
your
can't
family.
say that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Chair now recognizes Governor Hochul for her opening statement.
Chairman Comer, Ranking Member Lynch, and members of this committee, as we speak, an American city has been militarized over the objections of their governor. At the outset, I just want to say that this is a flagrant abuse of power and nothing short of an assault on our American values.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
My views on immigration are simple and direct. Our nation needs secure borders. Our nation needs comprehensive immigration reform from this body. And our state laws dictate that we cooperate with ICE in criminal cases. And our values dictate that we treat all law-abiding people with dignity and respect. The America I believe in is a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. Abandoning either threatens the very foundation on which this great country was built. You know, for 400 years, New York has prospered because of the hard work of these people, these newcomers. People like my grandfather who fled great poverty in Ireland. Grandma and Grandpa had the same American dream that the immigrants today have. I see it in their eyes. They're not here for handouts. They're not here
to take
advantage of the situation. They're here to work. They want to contribute, earn their place, raise their families. Yet, every day there's another story of children being ripped from the arms of their mothers, wives separated from their husbands, families arrested while attending legal immigration appointments. You know, not long ago in a small town known as Sackett's Harbor in upstate New York, masked and armed ICE agents stormed into a home before dawn. They abducted a mother, her 3 children, including a 3rd grader. They were cast into a living hell in a detention facility in Texas. I immediately contacted Borders Czar Tom Homan and demanded their release. In Jefferson County, more than 60% of the residents voted for Donald Trump. And those people protested in the street.
I want y'all to understand she's actually campaigning and doing shit right now. Okay, so here's the thing. She sounds like when you ask your grandma to tell you a story and this bullshit just comes off the top of her head. The way she's telling it, the way she looks, the way she looks fucking zooted as shit. Fix your face, bitch.
Streets. Local Republican lawmakers,
What up, Deluxe?
business
Thank you
owners,
for the
school
5.
leaders all
Hello, I'm
spoke
Troy
out.
McClure, and I'm here to talk
Finally,
to
after 2
talk about
long
nothing.
weeks, the
Just said
family was finally
hello.
returned home. In New York, we understand the difference between going after criminals and traumatizing law-abiding families. Now, some of you will use this hearing to stoke fear. I'm here to talk about the facts. New York has managed an unprecedented immigrant influx because of a broken border. Yet at the same time, our state has become stronger and safer. Today, New York has the lowest homicide rate among the nation's top 10 states.
Because you guys weren't
We didn't
reporting.
achieve this with indiscriminate roundups, not by tearing apart innocent families,
By
but
just
by
not saying
investing
anything to anybody.
$2.6 billion in public safety, engaging in smart, targeted policing, and partnering with law enforcement, federal law enforcement, to apprehend and deport serious criminals.
Is that why you sent the
And
National
since I
Guard
become
into the
governor,
subway?
We've cooperated in handing over 1,300 convicted criminals to ICE. But what we don't do is civil immigration enforcement. That's the
What
federal
about the
government's
ones that you
job.
let go?
New Yorkers need their state troopers on our highways, seizing guns and drugs. States like mine are doing our part.
So
We
we're
can't be
Jews.
expected to fix the broken immigration system. You know, and the very people who go on cable news and rail about the border are the same ones who torpedo bipartisan legislation each and every time. So here's my message. If you truly care about
All right, I'm into
public
this poll,
safety,
ladies and gentlemen.
if you truly care about the economy,
Rumble didn't say anything.
if you truly care,
But 13 votes. 13 votes. Do we skip the fourth witness? 84% of you said yes. Interested about the 2 that said no.
about human dignity, then sit down, negotiate, have real reform, secure the border,
Those are just the
revive legal
contrarians.
pathways, and let people work. At the end of the day, I'll go home and do my job keeping New Yorkers safe. I hope that you will do yours. Thank you.
What about the bitch that was set on fire because she was sleeping in a subway?
And I now recognize the Democrat witness, Ms. Perryman, for her opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, we're skipping this. Chat wins tonight. Ah, goddamn. I love this shit. There ain't no damn way in hell you're gonna sit there and tell me. Like the bombing situation. Can we skip the fuck ahead? Okay. Maybe too far here. I can't see because it's not giving me. Whatever. I'll just go by this. But, as a matter of fact, I can't see because it's not giving me frame by frame and it's not giving me anything else. But here we go.
All right, opening statements have concluded. We're now going to begin the questioning portion of today's testimony. And I'm going to begin with Governor Walz. Governor Walz, I thought that...
Okay. Let's do a new poll real quick, ladies. And, well, opening questions, I'll let go. After that, you guys
maybe
get to choose.
Your statement referencing ICE as
I get chairman,
Gestapo was an outlier statement, but now that Mr. Lynch has endorsed it, it appears that it could be some type of Democrat talking point. Governor, do you and other Democrat politicians understand why referencing ICE as Gestapo is offensive? I'm going to explain. The Department of Homeland Security is reporting that ICE agents are now experiencing a 413% rise in assaults.
On the point. What
We've
else,
seen numerous videos of rioters obstructing and assaulting federal law
doing,
enforcement
Glenn?
after your remarks, including in Los Angeles.
Hartley's dad is in the house.
Governor, do you think that comments like that and rhetoric like that put ICE officers and other law enforcement in greater danger?
Well, thank you for the question, Mr. Chairman. First and foremost, any attack on law enforcement is unacceptable, wherever it's at, whether it's state, local.
So you understand, and I've got limited time here. I want to highlight for the governors that real-world impact of the policies that you all continue to defend, even in your opening statements, have on American families. Earlier this year in Governor Pritzker's Illinois, a previously deported illegal alien who had re-entered the country was allegedly drunk driving near the University of Illinois when he struck a car sitting at a red light and then fled the scene. The crash killed 2 young women, including Katie Abraham, whose father and stepmother are here today. And this is her poster. Katie had her whole life ahead of her, cut off in an instant. Governor Pritchard, this illegal alien should never have been here. He didn't just flee the scene. He fled the state and was apprehended by federal marshals in Texas.
Jennifer, thank you for the 5. Tell Glenn he'd also be in Rumble if he wasn't such a sourpuss. All about just kidding. Just kidding.
Using a false name. He now faces criminal charges for reckless homicide, leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death, and driving under the influence resulting in death. And he faces a federal indictment for having a fraudulent permanent resident card, a fraudulent Social Security card, and a fraudulent use of passport. Governor Pritchard, do you agree that this illegal alien who killed Katie should never have been in the United States in the first place?
You're right. We do need to do this. Y'all ready to go?
Thank you, Mr.
to
Chairman.
squirrel mode?
First, let me express my condolences to the family, and those are terrible circumstances. Let me also say that anyone who commits a crime in the state of Illinois...
I understand, Governor. Should that criminal have been here in the first place? Did he have a right to be in this country illegally?
If the person is a criminal of any sort, then they ought to be...
So that person had a right to be in the United States?
They ought to be given their due process rights, and they ought to be convicted. And
the criminal who entered this country illegally, in your testimony, had a right to be in this country?
No, I'm suggesting to you that when we, and I have a responsibility
He's
for the state of Illinois, I can tell
jerking.
you that it's the responsibility of the federal government to manage immigration in this country. And if you're suggesting that the federal government didn't do its job, that is up to you.
Let me ask you this,
I
Governor.
can tell you that in the
do you
state of
believe
Illinois,
do you believe that President Biden did his job in securing the border?
I was critical of things that President Biden did. I think I've been very public about that. I wrote a letter to the president telling him that.
Okay, thank you. Now back to Governor Walz. You were obviously selected by Vice President Harris to be a running mate in 2024. I'm curious, did you ever ask Vice President Harris?
I want y'all to remember it was James Comer here and Jim Jordan that said, you know, all this shit about contempt of court or contempt of Congress for Hunter Biden can go away if he just reschedules and comes talks to me. Remember that. Remember that. And Steve Bannon went to jail for the same fucking shit. Hunter Biden was allowed to do it and spit in your face publicly twice. And that was okay. Everything would go away if you just come talk to us.
Harris about former President Biden's and then President Biden's cognitive decline?
No, not that I can recall, Mr. Chairman.
You saw President Biden's disastrous debate performance. I'm just curious, you never did comment to Vice President Harris like, wow, you know, he may not be on the top of his game. Nothing was ever mentioned to Vice President Harris. And the reason I ask, obviously, is because I know you watch CNN, and other networks have interviewed a lot of people, including Jean-Pierre and Buttigieg and others that have suggested that they were shielded from President Biden and weren't allowed to speak to him, and that you know, his mental decline was obvious. You never discussed that with Vice President Harris?
No, not that I can recall, Chairman. And I, as governor and then being on the ticket, I was probably more concerned with my own debate performance than President Biden. So no.
Let me ask you this, Governor. Do you believe that the Biden-Harris administration secured the border? You mentioned it's the federal government's role to secure the border to protect Americans from illegals entering the country, I guess.
It's not the app. It's actually YouTube freezing up a lot over
there. It's been
there.
broken for a very long time through many administrations. It's one of the reasons why Vice President Harris was advocating so strongly for the bipartisan bill.
I've gotten
Did you
it
mention
twice.
her role as the borders are when you all were out campaigning?
And I've got my bit rate limited.
Not that I can recall, other than that we talked about the need to pass the bipartisan border legislation that would have done many of the things that, as a governor, I know would have made our jobs easier.
But President Trump secured the border without any legislation. I mean, that was kind of a myth that was in the media and a Democrat talking point that we needed legislation to secure the border. The border's secure.
Everything's fixed.
That's step one. Step two is to deport the criminal illegals, and that's where we're facing obstruction in your all state. So I'm sure there are a lot more questions that will pertain to that. My time's expired. I now recognize Ranking Member Lynch for his questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's worth saying again that Democrats oppose violence and.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we gonna hit up the poll here. I'm going to copy and paste. Got the poll running on YouTube, and I will give you 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen, on the clock. Do we skip Lynch? Hit that up. I don't like this fucker. I really don't. But I will say, I respect his way of getting shit out there. Because I see fake anger out of this because I know how to play that. But you're fake as fuck, dude. I'm sorry, Lynch. You're fake as fuck. All right, let's see. 10 seconds. And go. 80-20 on YouTube here. Skip Lynch. Got let's see. 1 on YouTube or 1 on Rumble. 1 on Rumble, I guess. Okay, so 11. Yeah, we're skipping Lynch. This is gonna be fun. How do we come up with this? See, I can't. All right. Let's do this.
In all its forms. I do want to point out that the vast majority of protesters have been peaceful. But the most egregious and sweeping displays of the use of force and lawlessness we see in the United States.
Is that correct?
Thank you.
40 trained individuals of our municipal police departments like Los Angeles and the city of New York, for example, can't handle their jobs. I have more confidence in our law enforcement than perhaps the president does, and we ought to step back and say this is an overreach of epic proportions.
Thank you. Chair recognizes.
Thank you for your courtesy on the time. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Ms. Stefanik from New York.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, on your first day in office, you signed Executive Order 1. Is that correct?
I believe it is.
And you extended this executive order not once, not twice, but 3 times, most recently January 16th of this year. Is that correct?
If that's what your facts show, I signed countless executive orders.
I would assume you'd know it's Executive Order 1, and this is a continuation of your predecessor's sanctuary state policies, correct? Is included in that.
I want to be sure we are defining sanctuary state properly.
I'll define it for you. It is the policy of the state that state officers or employees shall not disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement. It goes on to say, law enforcement officers may not use resources, equipment, or personnel for the purpose of detecting and apprehending any individual suspected or wanted for violating a civil immigration office. Law enforcement officers have no authority in the state of New York.
Let's see what the poll says. Got 1 on Rumble. 9 out of this side. No. Everybody wants to hear it. Let's go.
To take any policy action solely because the person is an undocumented alien. That's a quote in your executive orders that you extended. Now, do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to get back to the first part.
No, I'm asking a question. Do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to make sure you understand that this simply says that we will cooperate with ICE.
No, it does not say that. I read what it says, and let me talk to you about the results. Do you know who Sakir Akan is? You should, as the governor of New York State. Do you know?
What up, baby?
Refresh my recollection.
He was an illegal migrant in New York. And do you know what crime he committed in addition to being here illegally?
No, I do not.
You do not. This was widely reported. He found a 15-year-old girl, threatened her with a metal pole, told her to get into the back seat of his car, he took her clothes off, and he violently raped her in Albany, New York. Do you know who Sebastian Zapita Khalil is?
I'm sure you'll tell me there's many cases, whether they're...
These are high-profile cases. Yes. New Yorkers know about them, and you don't. So let's talk about Sebastian Zapita Khalil. Do you know who that is?
I don't have the specific details at my disposal, no.
Well, this is an illegal migrant in New York because of your sanctuary state policies. Do you know what crime he committed?
I'm not familiar at this moment.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you. He found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burned her alive. This is in Kathy Hochul's New York. And as I'm sure you are aware, and I'll remind you, that ICE issued an order to detain this violent criminal, but that was rejected by New York officials due to sanctuary state laws. Now, do you know who Raymond Rojas Basilio is?
I just want to say this. These crimes are horrific.
Because of your sanctuary state policies.
In all of these cases, we would work with ICE to remove them.
You did not in this case. They are walking on the streets because of your policies and your executive order that you signed 3 times. Now, Raymond Rojas Basilio, do you know who that is?
I'm telling you this. I will explain to you the policies of New York. We cooperate with, I know you're just trying to.
You do not. Specifically, ICE was told not to detain this individual, and he burned a woman alive on the New York subways in Kathy Hochul's New York. So I will keep on going. What about Raymond Rojas Basilio? Do you know who that is?
I'm going to tell you our overall policy, which will address all this.
I'll tell you who that is. He is an illegal who molested an 11-year-old in our state because, again, of your sanctuary state policies. This illegal was shielded from federal immigration enforcement and able to commit this heinous crime. And what about Wilson Castillo Diaz? Do you know who that is?
I'm telling you this. We do cooperate fully with ICE in criminal prosecution. Our sanctuary
You're not advocating for these victims.
Only deal
this
with
is a 5-year-old who was raped on Long Island in Nassau County. You are not advocating on behalf of these victims. You are shielding illegals. Even in your opening statement, you prioritized putting illegals first.
That is not
Rapes
true.
of young girls, beatings of NYPD cops by illegals who are here under Kathy Hochul's failed policies, burning New Yorkers alive. This is Kathy Hochul's New York. It's one of the many reasons why you're hemorrhaging support from hardworking New York
These are
families.
horrific crimes, and they're heartbreaking.
They're horrific crimes that are committed on your watch. You signed this executive order on your first day in office. You signed it again and again this January. We deserve a governor who stands up for law-abiding New Yorkers, doesn't put illegals first, but actually puts New Yorkers first. I appreciate
Rather than going after the viral moment, I suggest you look at the facts.
I'm standing up for New Yorkers.
No.
Rather than addressing the illegals in New York, you are prioritizing your far-left sanctuary state policies, which you put in place with executive orders. Instead of advocating for victims, a 5-year-old who was raped, you did not. They were released because of sanctuary state policies in New York State. No amount of words is going to clean up your failed record and these horrific crimes committed in sanctuary state that you created. And with that, I yield
Your
back.
representation of facts absolutely false.
Yields back.
Absolutely
Chair
false.
recognizes Ms. Norton from Washington, D.C.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's start a poll. And of course, Rumble, hit it up in the chat.
See.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's be real. Since the start of the Trump administration, each day has been more nightmarish than the last. But in the past few days and weeks, we have seen a significant escalation of Trump's mass deportation agenda. On May 29th, a 9-year-old child and his father were reportedly detained in Torrance, California, and separated from one another by ICE. A 4th grader ripped from the only community he knows and from the arms of his father. We have kids who are afraid to go to school, afraid that ICE will grab them and their families from school grounds, and afraid
20 seconds.
Their parents will not be there when they get home. Schools are supposed to be safe havens for our children that foster learning and growth. Instead, the Trump administration is deliberately weaponizing them, terrorizing children and families with its immigration policies, and threatening more than 600,000 students.
Into the poll, I'm serious. I think there's a contrarian just saying no. Either that or you just want me to stay on all night. That ain't happening. But we will go as long as I can. We got another one. Yes, this is Skip Norton. Skip. Well, you voted twice. That doesn't work. The C. But yeah, it's happening. We're skipping Aunt Jemima. Okay. God damn, that's kind of fucked up though. But funny. Who are you? I don't know who the fuck you are, but we got to go back to the beginning of you. Oh, you son of a bitch. See, like, I'm only getting a white screen with some of these things. 118.
Schools are supposed to be safe havens for our children. When ICE detains and arrests parents, as they
To disrupt the majority whip, Mr. Emmer from Minnesota.
Mr. Emmer. Okay. I don't even know how to spell his name, so I'm just doing it that way.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome back to Washington, Governor. I'm going to run through a series of facts before I get to my questions, so let's get started. Governor Walz, you signed the Health and Human Services Omnibus Bill into law in May of 2023. That bill expanded Minnesota Care to provide free health care to illegal aliens. You signed the Higher Education Omnibus Bill into law in May of 2023. That bill allows illegals to have their college tuition paid for by the state. You signed the Driver's License for All Act into law in March of 2023, and that bill allows illegals to receive driver's licenses. So, You claim you're not a sanctuary state. You just provide free health care, free college, and driver's licenses to illegal aliens. One reason you're here testifying before us today is because you refuse to cooperate with ICE. While states like Florida and Virginia empower their law enforcement to detain and remove criminal illegal aliens, you, sir, have done just the opposite. Your Attorney General is directing law enforcement to ignore ICE immigration detainers. Do you agree with the Attorney General's guidance?
Well, Congressman, it's good to see you again, and thank you for being here. First, I would say, as my job as governor of Minnesota is to make Minnesota the best state in the nation.
Do you agree with the attorney?
And in the poll, Skip Emmer, 85% said no on that side. 14% said yes. Jennifer says no. The only one on Rumble. All right, let's go.
Attorney General's guidance.
Congressman, what I would say on this is that Minnesota follows all law. I would say
it's a very easy question. And again, if you claim you're not a sanctuary state, you just claim that you support policies. You're not a sanctuary state, but you support policies that prevent ICE from doing their job.
Congressman,
isn't that right?
That is incorrect, Congressman. We follow the same laws when you were in the Minnesota House. The law has not changed,
If you'll allow me, I've got limited time. Well, that's what you tweeted, by the way, sir. On May 23rd, 2018, you tweeted, quote, "I support policies that keep law enforcement from enforcing federal laws," close quote. On May 17th, just this spring, at the University of Minnesota Law School's commencement ceremony, you said, quote, "Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets." When you said the words modern-day Gestapo, you were referring to ICE agents. Gestapo, by the way, sir, was the official secret police of Hitler's Nazi Germany. So you're calling ICE agents modern-day Nazis. Given the attacks on ICE agents that took place in Los Angeles over the weekend, don't you regard your dangerous inflammatory rhetoric as a problem?
The questions, do you want me to answer first?
So, sir, it saddens me that you refuse to express regret from comparing ICE to Nazis. ICE agents are brave Americans who get up every morning, leave their families, and put their lives in harm's way to protect our country, sir.
Oh, she's coming up.
At the very least, owe an apology to these dedicated public.
Deluxe, thank you for the 5. I love the Luna Smackdown. It was like Friday. Damn. I'm telling you, that woman is fucking gorgeous, and she's intelligent as shit. She is fucking dangerous. She wears her balls on her chest. Y'all are sleeping on a lot of women in the Republican Party right now.
Public servants. I will say, sir, inflammatory rhetoric such as yours and the other governors on this panel is responsible for putting a target on the back of every ICE agent who is risking their life to protect our communities. Minnesota is all too familiar, by the way, with the chaos that ensues when you refuse to work with law enforcement to enforce the law. In May 2020, looting, acts of violence, and arson occurred on your watch in Minneapolis after you refused to bring in the National Guard. Governor, your agenda is clear. Free health care, free college and driver's licenses for illegals while handcuffing law enforcement when they're trying to protect our citizens and their communities. If you think that's not a sanctuary state, you shouldn't be governor. By turning Minnesota into a magnet for illegals, you have opened up our communities to dangerous criminals, including known terrorists, gang members, murderers, and child predators. You have...
He keeps kicking me in the dick. Why? Why does he keep kicking me in the dick?
Sent a resounding message that if you're a hardworking, law-abiding citizen of Minnesota, your safety and well-being are not the priorities of Tim Walz and his administration. But if you're coming to our state illegally, you're not only welcome with open arms, you're entitled to free stuff on the taxpayer's dime. This is absolutely disgraceful. Governor Walz, your sanctuary state agenda has been defined by your utter failure. You have failed to enforce the rule of law. You have failed to uphold our national sovereignty. And most importantly, you have failed the people of Minnesota. The time for radical sanctuary state policy, sir, is over. The voters made that clear last November when they elected President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. You remember him, don't you? Governor, the time for real leaders and real leadership is now. And with that, sir, actually, Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to introduce into the record the governor's tweet that I referenced from May 23rd, 2018, which makes it clear his hatred for federal law enforcement. Thank you.
Without objection to order.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I love the fact that I got to use my fucking sound command in that, and it made 100% complete fucking sense. That is amazing.
Recognizes Mr. Fube.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I have...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know what time it is. Now, it's going to look misspelled, but I think this is the way it's actually spelled here. Ladies and gentlemen, the chat is up, or the poll is up. Let's go.
A unanimous consent request, and I'd like to present both of those to you at the same time.
Proceed.
Okay. I ask unanimous consent that we enter into the record an article from The Hill of
I spelled it right.
The 8th day of June. Latinos for Trump co-founder blast inhumane immigration arrest.
Without objection to order.
Thank you, sir. And the second one is from The Independent of May the 28th. Trump ordered a critically ill 4-year-old Mexican girl to leave the country. Experts say she could die in days. I ask unanimous consent.
Without objection to order.
Thank you, sir.
Chair recognizes Mr. Krishnamurti from Illinois.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh, never mind. Fuck. Well, this is going to be some shit. Y'all voted 7. Well, he was just entering shit. I'm sorry. I'm a dick. I don't give a fuck about the spelling. This is it. This is Skip Krishnamurti. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing, Jet? All he was doing was entering things into the record. What are we doing? Y'all overwhelmingly voted to skip Mfume, though. So, if he comes around again, we'll go ahead and do that. We already got a skip Mfume vote. All right, let's hit it up.
Mr. Chair, Governor Pritzker, when it comes to immigration, you've been clear that Illinois follows the law. I'd like to go into this issue just a little further. First, there's been a lot of misinformation about the Illinois Trust Act. As you know, this is the 2017 law signed by then Republican Governor Bruce Rauner, which requires state agencies to cooperate with ICE when it presents a criminal arrest warrant
I fucked that name
for
up.
an individual, correct?
I fucked it up hard. Whatever.
Congressman, yes, that's correct.
And just to be clear, the Illinois State Police, the Department of Corrections, and other Illinois agencies must cooperate with ICE when they present a criminal arrest warrant, correct?
And do every single time.
20
This
seconds.
is Illinois law.
Yes,
Donald Trump may not like state law, as we're seeing in California, but what Donald Trump likes is irrelevant. The law is the law. The Wall Street Journal reports
10.
that ICE's recent raids in California, including at a Home Depot in the LA area, were organized because the administration was falling way short of its cruel goal of deporting thousands of
All right. Oh. Hold on. Hold on. Hold the fuck on. Now, there were 9 votes on YouTube, 1 on Rumble. It's a 10-10 fucking split. With 10-10 fucking, we're not going to vote on speed or anything like that. We're just going to, if it's a split, you're listening. Because that means there's a good bit of you out there that are paying attention to what he's actually saying.
thousands of people per day. Politico said this is, quote, the standoff that Trump wanted. There's another reason why Trump has provoked the current situation in California. He doesn't want to talk about what he calls the big, beautiful bill and what I call the large, lousy law. So let's talk about what Trump doesn't want to discuss. What Trump doesn't want to discuss is that his large, lousy law cuts $625 billion in Medicaid, a program that insures millions of Americans. Governor Walz, in a press release...
The Spuds member for 2 months here if DJT can get rid of illegals. New York can turn red. That would be a great start, but not completely. You got to get people active. Because the same people that voted for AOC voted for Trump because both candidates represent change. What the fuck, New York?
On Medicaid cuts, you said, quote, the victims of these cuts will be families, children, veterans, rural Americans, and pregnant moms. That's what you said, right?
That's correct. Can't take it now,
and
Rhoda.
Governor Hochul, in a recent op-ed, you wrote, even if you don't rely on Medicaid, these cuts affect you. Because when millions lose coverage, hospitals and other vital healthcare institutions lose funding. And that strains the entire system. That's what you wrote, right?
That is correct, sir.
Governor Pritzker, cuts in the large, lousy law are going to leave upwards of 700,000 Illinoisans without health insurance. Isn't that correct?
Yes, people will die.
Trump's large, lousy law adds trillions to the national debt as well, which could force $500 billion in automatic cuts to Medicare, in addition to the cuts in Medicare.
People will die. People will die.
Medicaid that we just referred to. And of course, Medicare is a program that every senior relies on. Let me turn to my final topic. Governor Pritzker, President Trump.
But that's not where the cuts are coming from. The cuts are coming from the people who sit on Medicare and do nothing but live off the government and all your welfare programs that you offered them. It's amazing that you motherfuckers wanted to burn down the fucking world simply because he said, hey, if your child is past the age of 7, we must require that you have proof that you are working or actively working or looking for work. Deluxe, thank you for the 5. Something for California, as they would lose seats in the House and Senate. Oh, they damn sure would. Like I said, though, this is the Democrat slave labor. I got to do that a little short. I got to break it down. I got to take it the fuck off because the audio and video wasn't fucking working because YouTube's a fucky situation. I got to sit down and record that shit for you. Because not every time, the most prominent times that they were, hey, who's going to pick your crops? Who's going to scrub your toilets? Oh, it's coming. That's their slave labor.
Illinois, quote, a poorly run state. But the truth, of course, is the opposite. Governor, Illinois has had 7 consecutive balanced budgets, right?
That's correct, Congressman.
And our credit rating has been raised 9 times in the last 6 years, correct?
After 21 downgrades under Republican and others.
And it now stands at an A rating, right?
It does.
In contrast, under President Trump, every credit agency has downgraded America's credit rating below the top level. The first time in history that's happened, isn't that right?
That's correct.
Trump and others claim the federal government props up Illinois. But in reality, we're one of 13 states in the country that actually give more tax revenue to Washington, D.C. than we receive in return. Now, let me turn to some of the reasons why Illinois is a donor state and not a taker state. Illinois has a $1.1 trillion economy. We produce the most soybeans in America, and we're the #2 producer of corn, right?
That is correct.
We're the #2 manufacturing state in the country.
We are.
And we're the #2 destination for corporate expansions and relocations, right?
And Chicago is #1.
Thanks to you, we have the world's first quantum and microelectronics park, correct?
That's right.
And we're ranked top in the Midwest for workforce development, correct?
Yes, we are.
And startups?
That's right.
Illinois is the heart and soul of America, Governor. It's where the cell phone was invented, was home to the first McDonald's, and was the home of amazing leaders. Lincoln, Reagan, Obama, Grant, even Superman, and yes, the Pope. And here's a picture of the Pope wearing a Chicago White Sox cap. The next Pope's going to be a Cubs fan.
There you go.
Illinois has terrific jobs, people, and pizza. Some may even say that God is on our side, Governor. I'm proud to be from Peoria. I'll always stand up for Illinois, loud and proud. I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Jordan from Ohio.
Live screen. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Got another vote coming up. Are we skipping Jordan or are we not? Let's see. Of course. Rumble, hit it up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Hochul, 3rd paragraph, 2nd sentence in your written testimony, you said New York State cooperates with U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement in criminal cases. Governor, who's Jesus Romero Hernandez?
Thank you. I want to reaffirm that we do cooperate in cases where...
That wasn't the question. I just read your statement. I can read your statement. Who is Jesus Romero Hernandez?
I don't have the details on every single person in a state of 20 million people.
I understand, but this guy's a citizen of Mexico, deported 7 times, came to your state, assaulted one of your residents with a machete, choked a police officer, then when he was in custody, assaulted a corrections
20
officer.
seconds.
ICE finds out this guy is in your state's custody, and they send you a detainer. You're familiar with a detainer, right?
Yes, I am.
Notice of action immigration detainer to Tompkins County Jail from Syracuse Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Section 1, they check a couple boxes. The first one they check is a final order of removal against the alien has taken place. That means a court has said this guy needs to go. This machete-wielding, cop-choking, corrections officer assaulting guy needs to go. Then they also check another box, and they say biometric confirmation of who this individual is.
All right. Let's see. Keep Jordan. Hell no, Jordan stays. Keep Jordan. Jordan. Okay, we got 3. 3. Okay. 14. Okay, it's overwhelmingly, yeah, he stays. All right. It is Alex again with a 5. it isn't the same here in Washington with regards to slave labor. But fun fact, the Rhino Dan Newhouse was all in favor because his family owns a hops farm in southern Washington.
This alien's identity. So they got the right guy, and a court has said he needs to go. Any idea what Tompkins County Jail decided to do with that detainer order?
I will tell you this, the state of...
Wait, ladies and gentlemen, I got to throw this up real quick.
Regime has called.
This is after the attack. Apparently, Israel did this. I don't know what to think about this because looking at this right now,
For years, the Iranian regime has called for the destruction of the state of Israel.
This looks AI. Hardcore, this looks AI.
Planning and advancing.
Is it? Israel Defense Force, IDF, their official. Oh my! But this looks heavy AI. What the fuck was this? I mean, we know it was planned, but look at this.
For years, the Iranian regime has called for the destruction of the state of Israel.
That's not
planning
normal.
And advancing concrete
Not normal,
military
Hammond.
plans to do so. Over the past few months, intelligence has shown that Iran is closer than ever to obtaining a nuclear weapon. This morning, the IDF began preemptive and precise strikes targeting the Iranian nuclear program in order to prevent the Iranian regime's ability to build a nuclear bomb in the immediate time frame. We have no choice.
The movement's
we are
off.
operating against an imminent and existential threat. We cannot allow the Iranian regime to obtain a nuclear weapon that would be a danger to Israel and the entire world. This operation is for our right to exist here, for our future and for our children's future. The State of Israel has the right and the obligation to operate in order to protect its people and will continue to do so. The IDF conducted significant preparations for this operation. We are well prepared both in defense and offense to defend ourselves. The IDF will continue to defend the State of Israel.
Something about this just seems off with me, though. That comes from their own. So you're saying, are you trying to use AI to say
For
that
years.
You struck to stop them from building? Yo, what the fuck? Got another here. Hold on.
Ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. In recent years, Iran has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs. 9.
Wait, assuming this is fucking true. That yellow cake uranium after 9/11 that everybody was so hyped the fuck up about, apparently it did exist. Broadcasting on our networks, hey, we're going to walk in there 3 months before we actually did, giving them cover to move all that shit, and there was evidence of... Wasn't that Bush?
In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before. Steps
Assuming all this is true.
Weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival. 80 years ago, the Jewish people were the victims of a Holocaust perpetrated by the Nazi regime. Today, the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear Holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime. Now, as Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal. Tonight, Israel backs those words with action. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists.
The exit for this just passed.
Working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program. Last year, Iran fired 300 ballistic missiles at Israel. Each of these missiles carries a ton of explosives and threatens the lives of hundreds of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the lives not of hundreds, but of millions. Iran is gearing up to produce 10,000 of those ballistic missiles within 3 years. Now just imagine 10,000 tons of TNT landing on a country the size of New Jersey. This is an intolerable threat. It too must be stopped. Iran is now working on what it calls the new plan to destroy Israel. You see, the old plan failed. Iran and its proxies tried to encircle Israel with a ring of fire and to attack us with the horrible attack of October 7th. But the people of Israel, the soldiers of Israel, rose like lions to defend our country. We crushed Hamas, we devastated Hezbollah, we hit Iranian proxies in Syria and Yemen. And when Iran directly attacked us twice last year, we struck back inside Iran itself. Yet in defending ourselves, we also defend others. We defend our Arab neighbors. They too have suffered from Iran's campaign of chaos and carnage. Our actions against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria. The peoples of those two countries now have a chance for a different future, a better future. So too do the brave people of Iran, and I have a message for them. Our fight is not with you. Our fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 46 years. I believe that the day of your liberation is near. And when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient peoples will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons. And Iran plans to give those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies. That would make the nightmare of nuclear terrorism all too real. The increasing range of Iran's ballistic missiles would bring that nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America. Remember, Iran calls Israel the small Satan. It calls America the great Satan. And this is why for decades, it's led millions in the chants of death to Israel and death to America. Today, Israel...
You're not wrong, but you're not going to actually sway me with any of that. All right? They've been a problem. They've been a thorn in our side for a long-ass time, but...
Israel is responding to those genocidal calls with action and with a call of our own.
What up, Marlene?
Long live Israel and long live America.
No,
our action will help make the world a
RP's
much safer
here.
place. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in confronting Iran's nuclear weapons program. He has made clear time and again that Iran cannot have a nuclear enrichment program. Today, it is clear that Iran is just buying for time.
I agree, but we let it happen for this very reason, I fear.
It refuses to agree to this basic requirement of peaceful nations. That is why we have no choice but to act, and act now. The hardest decision any leader has to make is to thwart a danger before it is fully materialized. Nearly a century ago, facing the Nazis, a generation of leaders failed to act in time. They were paralyzed by the horrors of World War I. They were determined to avoid war at all costs, and they got the worst war ever.
Spuzz, thank you for the one. Rich, you were mistaken. Trump did well in the NY14, but like Biden, AOC got fake votes. Therefore, more votes than registered voters. This is how Hochul and James won. They did this in 2022 and 2024. I don't doubt it. I definitely do not doubt it, Spuds. But again, AOC was asking the people that voted for her on her own goddamn platform why you could vote for her and Trump at the same time. And overwhelmingly, they said both candidates represent change. Figure that shit the fuck out. Again, for the one here, so if DJG gets rid of illegals, they can vote en masse to hide it with ghost votes. Go to auditny.com for more information. So there you go. I'm going to throw that link in the YouTube side.
They adopted a policy of appeasement. They closed their eyes and ears to all the warning signs. That failure to act resulted in World War II, the deadliest war in history. It claimed the lives of 60 million, including 6 million Jews, a third of my people. After that war, the Jewish people and the Jewish state vowed never again. Well, never again is now. Today, Israel has shown that we have learned the lessons of history. When enemies vow to destroy you, believe them. When enemies build weapons of mass death, stop them. As the Bible teaches us, when someone comes to kill you, rise and act first.
I mean, the sentiment is not lost, but it was your people that put Jesus to death, though.
This is exactly what Israel has done today. We have risen like lions to defend ourselves. Over 3,000 years ago, Moses gave the people of Israel a message that has steeled their resolve ever since. Be strong and courageous, he said. Today, our strong and courageous soldiers and people stand together to defend ourselves against those who seek our destruction. And by defending ourselves, we defend many others, and we roll back a murderous tyranny. Generations from now, history will record that our generation stood its ground, acted in time, and secured our common future. May God bless Israel. May God bless the forces of civilization everywhere. Thank you.
All right, let's go back. This shit's popping off. Y'all ready for this? Here at home and across the world.
It's a specific question.
Well,
What did Tompkins County do?
The descriptions you have put forth are absolutely chilling and disturbing and reprehensible to all of us. My job is to protect the people of New York.
Question. What did Tompkins County do?
What I have responsibility
I will tell you,
for
since you're not going to answer.
courts,
We
state
cannot
police.
and will not hold Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah.
We can't keep the machete guy who had choked a police officer and assaulted a corrections officer. We can't keep him. In fact, we have the back and forth from Tompkins County and ICE on January 28th of this year, 8:56 p.m. Tompkins County tells ICE, we're not going to hold this guy. 7 minutes later, ICE responds back, we will be there to take custody this evening. 24 minutes later, Thompson County.
Spuzz, thank you for the 2. Hochul is lying. The state policy denies the state and local police work with the ICE and detainment of illegals. Even directing traffic is if ICE and CDP detain known illegals along the roadside. Yes.
He reiterates, we're not going to have him. We're not going to turn him over. 10:45. ICE arrives at the jail. 1 hour and 18 minutes later, and guess what? Mr. Hernandez is not there. They couldn't wait 1 hour and 18 minutes for a guy who assaulted one of your residents with a machete, choked a police officer, and then when in custody, assaulted corrections officers. That is sanctuary policy in a nutshell, and that is what your state supports, and so do these other governors. That is what is so wrong why the American people hate this concept.
You're conflating what the state of New York does is I control state police and prisons. We have turned over 1,300 people.
So you disagree with it?
We turn over 1,300
the wrong
people.
call?
Those are local policies that we would not have done in the state of New York. State of New York, that is
So
a
you're
local
saying the
decision.
sheriff's wrong?
I would say this, if it happened in a state prison, we have already turned over 1,300 people.
Sheriff
in
in
fact,
Tompkins County
I want
is
to say
Democrat or
this.
Republican, Governor.
There have
You
been
have any idea?
times, Excuse
the
me.
sheriff in Thompson County a Democrat or Republican?
Excuse me. There have been times.
I ask the questions. You give the answers. Is he a Democrat or Republican?
For a second,
You know?
I'm asking for this moment to explain that I'm sometimes waiting for ICE
Is he a
to come
Democrat
pick
or
up
Republican,
people.
and do you agree with the
I believe
actions
he's a
he took?
Democrat.
Do you agree with the actions he took? How about that question?
They are in conflict with what the state of New York would do.
Well, maybe they're scared. By the way, he is a Democrat sheriff. Maybe the county guys are a little scared because you said this. I'm quoting from, it looks like the New York Times. We all know you can trust them. This is last month, May 25th. You said we have some counties that are renegade counties and work with ICE. Maybe they're nervous of being called a renegade county by their governor. So the Democrat sheriff says, we're not going to keep the machete-wielding, cop-choking, corrections officer assaulting guy. We're not going to keep him here for you to get here. We can't even wait an hour and 18 minutes. Oh, you know what else was interesting in this case? You know what else was interesting? There was actually an arrest warrant from United States District Court, Northern District of New York, signed by Judge Wiley Danks, magistrate from Syracuse. There was an arrest warrant, and they still couldn't keep me.
The state of New York cooperates. We cooperate in removal of individuals who've served time. We respond to detention. You're confusing, and maybe there's a lesson in civics here that's necessary.
On the record right here, I got 12 seconds. Will you say on the record, was Tompkins County wrong in the actions they took on January 25th, 2025, when they wouldn't hold the guy for 1 hour and 18 minutes?
Spuzz, thank you for the 2 communist. Planet Ithaca is the county seat of Tompkins County. She is on record and has supported the policy wholeheartedly.
Those are not the policies that we would have in the state of New York. Those are not the policies we would have.
Communist Planet Ithaca?
Turn that guy over to ICE. It's a simple question, Governor.
That was a horrible situation. The person.
I mean, just write that out in the chat if that was a fucked up situation.
It is a response that this is a locality.
You agree or
in the
disagree?
state of New York,
lying.
the person should have been held.
Yes or no?
The person should have been held, and in the state of New York, we would have turned him over. That is in conflict with what we would do as a state with respect to prison. And I want to know why ICE won't come and pick up the individuals who have served time in our state. I have cases where they have not even shown up.
A court order and a detainer for a guy who did the things Mr. Hernandez did, and Tompkins County can't hold him an hour and 18 minutes, and you won't say that's wrong?
I have said we cooperate when there's a criminal case where someone has committed a crime. We turn them over.
This is sanctuary policy in a nutshell. You won't even condemn something that anyone with common sense knows is ridiculous.
You're mischaracterizing.
I had the facts here. Oh, can I do one other thing, Mr. Chairman? Now he's been rearrested, and guess what? This guy who's now been rearrested, there is imminent danger that this inmate will do injury to himself and to others and presents a threat to safety, security, and good order of the facility, so he's not permitted to leave his cell. So this guy's not even allowed out of his cell, but they let him out on the street a few months ago. That's how ridiculous this is.
When he does leave his cell, we go back to this country under our orders.
Chair recognizes Mr. Mfume, and I'll...
Okay, we've already got the Mfume vote. We already did that. Apparently, everything's fine now. Oh. You already got the Mfume vote.
Governor Pritzker, do you...
Okay, so we got Mr. Gill coming up. Putting that in chat as well for the Rumble side. Let's go.
Thank you. Chair now recognizes Mr. Gill from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Pritzker, do you know how much illegal immigration costs your state each year?
No, sir, I do not.
Costs over $780 per family per year. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And may I ask, what do you mean by the cost?
That is a lot of money for
the cost of illegal
your state.
immigration.
Let me ask you, do you know who Franklin Jose Pena Ramos is?
Are you talking about the federal government's cost to the state of Illinois as a result of the failed
Ramos is?
Immigration policy?
It's a yes or no question. I'll take that as no. Do you know who Jose Martinez Rangel is?
No, sir, I do not.
You don't? You should. Those are 2 men who came into this country illegally, raped and murdered 12-year-old Jocelyn Nunnery in my home state of Texas. Do you think that elected officials should have welcomed them into our communities?
Sir, before they committed a crime? I'm not sure what you're asking.
Do you think that they should have been welcomed into our communities? It's a very straightforward question.
Someone who commits murder, no. Someone who commits murder should be apprehended.
Why did you state during Biden's border crisis that illegal aliens, quote, should have been welcomed and helped?
Let's see what we got. Oh, my Jesus. Oh, I accidentally hit the wrong thing. Oh, my. Okay. A lot of people out there that don't like Gil, but we did get 1 on 2. Well, I can't really count that as sober. We'll catch you in the next round. I did get 1 on Rumble as well with that, so apparently we're not skipping.
Helped by elected officials.
When you say illegal aliens, these are people who are given
welcomed
asylum.
and helped into our communities.
People who are
That's an
asylum
easy
seekers.
yes or no question.
You're mischaracterizing them.
It is your position that they should have been welcomed into our communities. Is that correct?
There were asylum
from your
seekers who were
own
here
statement.
legally.
Deluxe, thank you for the 5. Here we go again. Could start seeing communist arrests like after World War II. LMAO. Report the commies. Yeah, communists have no rights kind of thing. Yeah. Ooh.
Legally.
And then they went on and murdered and raped 12-year-old Jocelyn.
Someone who commits murder should be held accountable. We do that in the state.
And you think they should have been welcomed into our communities before they did?
I don't know how you can tell before somebody commits a crime that they are
secure
going
the
to
border
commit
and not let illegal aliens come into our communities. Do you support abolishing ICE?
Asylum seekers.
Do you support abolishing ICE?
No, I believe we need an immigration force in the United States.
You
In
don't.
fact,
You believe a budget is a moral document. Is that correct?
I do.
You do. You tweeted that. Your administration gave $12,000 to the organized communities against deportations, which just this past month was marching in the streets of Chicago with signs saying abolish ICE. Do you support this?
I do.
Jennifer, thank you for the 1. Rick D posted Rubio's statement in the general tab of OOP Discord.
Is this a reflection?
I don't know why you're tagging yourself.
Is this a reflection of your moral values?
I do not support abolishing an immigration force.
That's good to hear. Mr. Governor, do you think the biological men should be able to use women's restrooms?
I'm not sure how this has to do with immigration.
It's just a yes or no question.
Why are you?
It's very easy to answer.
This?
Do you
I
think
thought we were
men should be using
doing
women's
fact
restrooms?
finding. I'm sorry.
Do you think men should be allowed in women's restrooms?
I'm not sure why this has come to this issue.
You tweeted that as a protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir. No.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't?
Sir, I'm not sure why we're on a topic that has nothing.
Hold up. You got to see it. You got to see it.
To use women's restrooms?
I'm not sure how this has to do with immigration.
It's just a yes or no question.
Why are you?
It's very easy to answer. Do you
I
think
thought we were
men should be using
doing
women's
fact
restrooms?
finding. I'm sorry.
Do you think men should be allowed in women's restrooms?
I'm not sure why this has come to this issue.
You tweeted that as a protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir. No.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't?
Sir, I
Why did it take you so long to do that? Because the answer is yes, you fucking prick.
I'm not sure why we're on a topic that has nothing
I'm
to
asking
do
you,
with
you're
today's
advocating for men to use women's restrooms, but you didn't do it?
I do not advocate that, no.
Well, actually, you did. You said everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today.
I can tell you that you are politicizing this in a way that what we ought to be focusing on is
do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
And the Congress to deal with immigration reform.
Do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
Again, you're taking us
Take
on
your
topics
trash
that have
out,
Did you ever
people.
consider that women don't want you in
subject
their,
that you
in their
invited us here
bathrooms?
for. So you're admitting that this is just a political circus.
No, I'm asking you because
This
you
has
put
nothing
this
to do
on
with
the internet
immigration
for everybody
and really
to see.
about you grandkids.
I'm asking you, have you ever considered that women don't want you in their bathrooms? That's a private space that they don't want you or any other man in.
Congressman, let's talk about your failure to
normal
vote
people
for
say
Medicaid.
they don't,
In fact, you want to
that
take
they don't
Medicaid
think
away.
men should be in
and
women's
SNAP
restrooms.
And
That's a very
veteran
straightforward question.
That was actually great, Mr. Gill. That was actually fucking great because you pushed him and he's just like, you want to talk about me? Let's talk about your voting record on this shit. Nope.
You apparently want people
and you're
to die
encouraging men to
in the
use
United
women's
States
restrooms
because you
where there
want
could
to
be
take healthcare
underage
away.
girls. Do you think that's appropriate?
Sir, if we're going to
Do you think that's
politicize this,
normal?
let's talk about what you're doing to people
Do
in
you
this
think
country
that that's normal?
by virtue of your votes.
All right, let's move on.
with
Let's
President
ask,
Trump.
do you support Hamas's agenda?
Sir, I do not. They are a terrorist organization.
Your administration gave a grant to the Muslim Civic Coalition, which just 2 weeks after October
Goddamn.
7th was marching in the streets of Chicago to, quote, stop the U.S.-backed genocide against Gaza. Is that a reflection of your values?
I have spent my life fighting anti-Semitism.
No, I'm asking, is this a reflection of your values?
I'm not sure why you're attacking
Because
me
your
about something in an
administration
organization.
gave money to this organization.
I'm explaining to you that what we do in the state of Illinois is stand up for what we believe are.
You didn't have to
rights
give
and
money to
freedoms.
the Muslim Civic Coalition
People
to
have
march
the
and
right to
call,
express themselves.
to stop the
We don't-
U.S.-backed genocide against Gaza. That was your choice.
I know
That was your
Republicans want to
administration.
take away people's right to free speech. We don't in the state of Illinois. And I
They've
do
got the right to
that
free
it's
speech.
proper.
They don't have the right to tax dollars, and you gave them to them.
Take those rights away from people. I understand.
Gentlemen, time's expired. Chair recognizes Ms.
Gave him tax dollars. God fucking damn.
Brown from Ohio.
Miss Brown from Ohio. Miss Brown from Ohio. This question is going to be fucked up. Just skip Brown? Are we skipping Brown? Do we skip to Brown? Or do we drop it off at the pool? How's this working, ladies and gentlemen? Hit it up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Trump administration isn't serious about public safety. It's not serious about solving immigration challenges. It's only serious about blatantly violating constitutional rights, stoking fear, and demonizing immigrants for political gain. That's why Trump is weaponizing ICE to recklessly and lawlessly target immigrant communities. And here's the reality. 2 weeks ago, I met with community leaders from across my district. Multiple Hispanic faith leaders told me the same thing. Their congregants, regardless of immigration status, are afraid. Afraid to speak Spanish in public, afraid to attend community events, afraid to go to church. Because ICE under this administration has shown it will harass, detain, and deport even wrongfully. No due process, no oversight, no transparency. And
10
now
seconds.
we're seeing this fear weaponized at scale. Just this week, the president deployed 4,000 National Guard troops to Los Angeles without the consent or consultation.
Let's end it. Let's see. We got 1 to skip, 2 to skip, 3 to skip. I'm gonna count Glenn's as no, we're not gonna skip it because it's racist. So we got 3-1 over there. Oh, we're overwhelmingly skipping this then. The 7 votes on YouTube side. 42% of you said no. You want to hear that? Jesus Christ, it's all racism and racism. It's all racist bullshit with her. Okay. I already saw who's coming up next. Do we skip Byron Donalds?
My colleague, Governor Pritzker, how much does the state of Illinois spend on illegal immigration every year?
Again, illegal immigration, that's a federal responsibility. They could tell how much is wasted as a result of their failures.
Governor, don't you keep track of how many people are on your Medicaid rolls, how many people who are illegal immigrants in the state of Illinois who are getting actually benefits in your state? Doesn't your government keep track of that?
They don't get Medicaid in Illinois or any state as far as I know.
Governor Pritzker, you do not keep track of any public service dollars in the state of Illinois that goes to illegal immigrants or goes to people in your state who are not legal residents of the United States and of the state of Illinois. You don't keep track of that.
We absolutely keep track of our budget. We're very closely, and in fact, it's been balanced for 7 years in a row, unlike the Republican before me. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I noticed that in the state of Illinois, you guys don't really keep track of your money because I asked your mayor in Chicago similar question about a month ago, and he didn't have an answer. It was quite interesting. I think this might be an Illinois problem. Governor Hochul, in your state, you are spending about roughly $4 billion on illegal immigration. And at the same time, you are actually asking the federal government for $4 billion to finish Penn Station. Don't you think it would be better to stop funding illegal immigrants in your state and actually use those resources to finish Penn Station as opposed to coming to the federal government for the money?
Penn Station is owned by Amtrak,
10
not
seconds.
by the state, so it's an appropriate use of their dollars, and Donald Trump has agreed to spend upwards of $7 billion. I appreciated that very much. What we spend on immigrants, the immigrants who are
Skip Donalds, 100% said no on YouTube. Let's see. 1. No skip. Okay, 2. 3. 4. All right, let's go. The likes, thank you for the 5 again. Brown looked like the report they got from the SmackDown yesterday. That is a stupid question, Skip. Oh, god damn, that was funny. Before we do that. What is her? Levitt. What a stupid question.
Peaceful protest on Saturday for the militant parade.
This shit's fucking funny.
So if there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the militant parade, President Trump would allow that.
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm fucking talking about. That's dumb as shit. Are you sitting there telling me that they can't protest in D.C.? Why is every fucking city but D.C. targeted? It's a question that ponders the mind. But let's finish with the Donalds.
who are here hardworking to live a life and working on our farms and taking care of our parents in nursing homes and taking care of our children. They have been coming here for 400 years. And we don't keep track of individuals based on their status. We make sure that people have services so we don't end up with an unexpected.
So essentially what you're telling me is that you keep no track of money that is going to people who are not legal in the United States, resources that are taken away from New Yorkers, resources that are taken away from Illinoisans. You guys do not keep track of any of this.
You know what's really challenging is that many people came here with legal status. I mean, temporary protective status, 300,000.
Do you
all of a sudden they wake up one day and it's gone.
Do you go along with the strategy from the Biden administration, which massively expanded immigration protocols that overwhelmed your city and overwhelmed your state? Do you agree with that?
We call for secure borders. We call for this body to
I never
do its
remember
job.
you calling for secure borders at all, Governor
We certainly
Hochul.
have.
That
We
doesn't
certainly
sound
have.
like him to my memory.
Many conversations I had with the White House, and we asked for federal resources. I mean, you're putting a federal problem on our laps, and you know what? It gets old after a while. I wish you would just do your job.
If your party actually would do the job of
reform.
securing the nation the way President Trump has now had to do twice, we wouldn't be in this predicament. Wouldn't you agree? Do you agree or disagree that securing the nation's borders is the job of the President of the United States? President Trump has done that job twice now.
Well,
and previous Democrat presidents have not
I'm
done that
sorry,
job.
I just now ended that poll. But
This has been a problem that's been in place since I was a young staffer here on Capitol Hill. We worked on immigration, and Ronald Reagan signed amnesty for 3 million people.
You know, it's interesting you bring up
situations.
Reagan's amnesty in '86. You know, part of that deal was to actually build border wall and secure it, but the Democrat Party refuses to build border wall. You oppose it every single time. Is that your position? Do you now support border walls?
There has been many times when bipartisan legislation is presented to this body and people just walk away from it. They refuse to do the hard work of governing like governors like us have to do every single day. When I leave here, I'm going to go home and govern a state. I'm not going to tweet about this experience because I have too much work to do taking care of New Yorkers. And
You're really not doing a good job, Governor Hochul, because a lot of New Yorkers are actually coming to my state, in Florida, many of them. They come all the time because they actually want to come to a state that is well run, that protects citizens, does not allow illegal aliens to victimize citizens like they are victimized in the state of New York, like they are victimized in the state of Illinois, like they are victimized in the state of Minnesota. They choose states like Florida and Texas to find safer places to live and raise their families.
What up, Theresa Red?
Governor Walz, you've been sitting over there pretty quiet. I got a question for you.
I love to talk. Thank you, Congressman.
Fair enough. You said earlier that the ICE agents under the orders of President Trump are a modern-day Gestapo. Do you realize how disgusting a phrase that is, considering the history of Nazi Germany? Would you like to recant that statement?
What I said, Congressman, and I have a long history of supporting law enforcement, I said President Trump was using them as his modern-day Gestapo, not identifying who you are, coming up in unmarked vans, taking people away and giving...
Is it the responsibility of ICE to actually deport illegal aliens in the United States who are here? Isn't that their responsibility?
Yes, it is, Congressman, except that the Constitution is not an inconvenience. It's not an either-or.
Nobody said an inconvenience. You have a responsibility to deport illegal aliens, and the president is going through that process right now. And let's be very clear, the previous administration, they abused every process there is under border laws to allow more than 10 million people into the country illegally. And this is a burden on all Americans. And so the president is doing his job. So it is sick to refer to Americans who are ICE agents as Gestapo. Governor, you're wrong. You need to apologize to these agents. They're doing their jobs. They are Americans. They serve this country with honor and decency and respect. Do not diminish their work simply because you tried to make a cheap point that you could tweet. I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Stansberry from New Mexico.
Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. Miss Stansberry is on the chopping block today. Let's get this going. You got that in 1 minute.
Mexico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, some interesting theatrics today. Welcome, everyone, to the Oversight reality TV show. I know Mr. Trump loves himself some good TV, and today is not disappointing. And in fact, I want to say welcome to some of the members who've showed up to this committee who I've never seen here before. It's great to have you here in the hearing room with us. Now, before I get started on the topic at hand, I want to take a moment to speak directly to the immigrant community who might be watching and listening today. I want to say to everyone out there who is living in fear, we see you, we love you, we respect you, and we are fighting for you and every community that is being targeted by this administration and this Congress. We also want all of you out there to know that you have rights. You are protected by the law. And you should not have to live in fear and wonder whether or not you're going to be safe if you leave your home or if your family is going to come home at night. We see you. We are fighting.
Oh, pull-ins. All right. What do we got on YouTube? All right, on Rumble. We got Skip Stansbury 1, 2, Did you want to vote before? Yep. 2. All right. 2 for yes, which overrides the YouTube, which is at 50-50. Somebody's got a hard on for this bitch, but the 2 yeses, they throw it over the top. So, who's the next on the chopping block? Or who is this?
Alien and suspected leader of a...
Langworthy. Go back to his point.
Mind what? Or do you think someone who's committed...
Let's start it.
Illegal, and it's a violation of our rights. And with that,
You got a minute?
Chair recognizes Mr. Langworthy from New York.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Governor Hochul, yes or no, do you think someone who's committed murder or rape in this country, and that they're here illegally, should have tools at their disposal to avoid deportation?
As the governor,
It's a yes
primary
or-
responsibility is to
yes
protect
or
the
no
people
question.
of New York.
I'm
Those
sorry.
crimes are abhorrent.
I'm sorry, whatever response you prepared to give today dwarfs in comparison to your actions as governor. I would like to remind you of someone named Gianfranco Torres Navarro, an illegal alien and suspected leader of a violent Peruvian gang. He was tied to 23 murders in Peru and came to this country illegally across the southern border. He had his victims' faces tattooed on his body, and he was hiding in plain sight in Endicott, New York, for an extended period of time where ICE could not locate him. And why did it take so long to find him? Because policies like your green light law,
10 seconds.
which blocks ICE and U.S. Border Patrol from accessing critical DMV databases. In fact, it threatens the badges and threatens...
All right. Let's see what we got. Skip Langworthy. I guess that's a 1 for Spuds because he says he's a rhino. 1-1-1. Okay, 1-1 on this side. Okay, so we're not skipping.
to charge with felonies any officer that shares that DMV data with federal agents. These agents rely on data to be able to know who they're pulling over on the side of the road. They're taking their lives into their hands every time they're trying to, keep our streets safe. The really sick irony here is that your government in New York, my home state, freely shares that same DMV data with the government of Canada at our bridges in you and my hometown. But it doesn't share that data with your American federal government. Why, Governor?
You're misstating the green light law because
I'm
we
not.
are able to cooperate with federal authorities when there's a
Why do
crime
you shield
involved.
the database, Governor?
Anything they want from us related to investigating a crime
This is data
available
that's
to
needed
them.
in real time to enforce the laws on the streets. They can't subpoena these records from your government. And I've had these conversations with my county sheriffs all across the state of New York, state police. They want to work with the federal officials. They want to clean up these messes. But they can't because they were being threatened by you and our Attorney General that they'll take away their badge and end their careers.
Been countless instances where we've cooperated with
How you
federal law
doing,
enforcement.
Lenny?
Happens on a
I
daily
don't know
basis.
if I said hi
And
to
so
you yet.
Your
My bad.
characterization is just incorrect of how we provide information to people who ask for
You
it.
share the database in its entirety with Canada, but you don't share it with the federal government. It's beyond belief. I mean, this is denial and excuses, Governor. You know damn well that the New York State Sheriff's Association and the State Association of Chiefs of Police have both condemned the green light law. Sheriffs from Erie County, Niagara County, Monroe, Albany, Broome, Dutchess, and Oneida counties, multiple parties represented here, not just Republicans, have warned that your law ties their hands. It puts officers' lives in danger, and it shields criminals from accountability. When you refuse to work with law enforcement, when you refuse to hand over data that can protect communities and save lives, you are actively aiding the illegal alien criminals who have crossed our borders and committed violent crimes. And the consequences are not hypothetical. Your bail reform law is the reason that Laken Riley is dead. He should have been in jail in New York. And he wasn't. He went to Georgia. He fled our state because he should have been in prison. These are tragic and real circumstances. In Buffalo, a Venezuelan illegal immigrant hacked his wife to death with an axe. In Syracuse, an Ecuadorian national strangled a young woman on her birthday and dumped her body in a park. In Irondequoit, in Monroe County, a Dominican national slaughtered an entire family, including 2 toddlers, and he set their house on fire. Governor Hochul, you took an oath to serve the citizens of the state of New York, and you've allowed violent criminals who came here illegally to hide in plain sight and to avoid federal officials because of your support for the green light law. I mean, this is an abomination. This is not keeping New Yorkers safe.
We turn over the information you're referring to all the time. You're misstating the laws and its purpose. We cooperate all the time.
As much as I want to believe you, Governor, I believe the cops more.
Well,
I believe the cops that I know and I trust in our same hometown that are out there in the streets every single day. Your laws put lives in danger. Your laws have led to people being murdered.
My job is to protect the people of New York, and I fight hard every single day.
You're doing a very lousy job of
reduce
it,
the
Governor.
crimes. Murder rates are down to historic lows, and we're working hard to make sure one crime is one too many. I take this very seriously, but we do cooperate when anytime they need help with law enforcement. And you're just
that is just
refusing to
not
accept
what the law enforcement
You're
officials
just not
tell me,
accepting
Governor.
the facts. I can't help it.
I trust the professionals. You and I aren't police officers. I trust the people out in the field that wear a badge, that are honorable, decent, hardworking people.
And that's why they should
And you have a record of disrespect to law enforcement, just like you disrespected every corrections officer in the state of New York. You have a lot of gall to come here and criticize the president for using the National Guard to actually bring law and order to the streets of our country. When you sent those same National Guard officers to become corrections officers after you destroyed the lives of so many of the hardworking corrections officers of the state when you broke their union.
You're absolutely right. There is a distinction. I have the authority over the National Guard in the state of New York. The president is usurping.
Oh, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. She has the authority to do that. The president doesn't have the authority to do that. Yeah, he does, bitch. Yes, he fucking does. And that's why they were federalized.
Usurping the sovereignty of another state, of the 50 states, when he imposes the National Guard against the will of the governor. It's a difference of understanding of basic civics.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request.
I'm sorry?
I have a unanimous consent request.
Proceed.
First, I'd like to seek unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, counties that provided sanctuary to undocumented immigrants saw falling crime rates, steady fines.
Without objections, ordered.
Second, data shows sanctuary policies make communities safer, healthier, and more prosperous.
Without objections, ordered.
And third, Trump team focuses deportation on immigration numbers, not criminals.
Without objections, ordered. Chair now recognizes Mr. Garcia from California.
Oh, goddamn. I know how this is going to go. I know how this is going to go. All you old heads. I just want you to know that's a lot of taxpayer dollars wasted every time this motherfucker speaks. You got the chat there, ladies and
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman. I want to thank our governors for being here as well. Thank you all for your service to your states and to our country. I want to just be clear. Donald Trump, clearly, and House Republicans are really not.
Wait, before we do this, Rich, in this case, Langworthy is correct. The green light law is the law that I was referring to, but Hochul will take away their funding. Oh, yeah, 100%. Dude, me and Davey have taken a deep dive into all of this shit with you, New York. I never gave a shit about New York, New Jersey kind of situation until I actually started talking to him because he's like, hey, check this out. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of fucked. That's a lot fucked. Oh, my God. And Deluxe Night with a Vibe for the past week. Has anyone noticed during every press moment Maxine Waters kissed at, she has started to look like, what? For the past week, anyone had noticed that every press moment Maxine Waters gets, that she started to look and sound like a female version of Bill Cosby. Oh. Yeah. But I'm going to let the count go because those were super chats. They don't actually count the time frames, so we will start it a minute now.
Not serious about helping our states and our cities. Before I came to Congress, I was a mayor and I worked closely with our police department, incredible men and women that worked really hard to promote policies that actually make the public safer. Now, during that time, our city actually reported some of the lowest murder rates in history. And I've been in close touch with our current police department, our local sheriff, and local law enforcement. And I want to be clear. Donald Trump is intentionally provoking chaos, hate, and division. Now, Trump is trying to intimidate. He's using our military to create fear, and there's no legal justification for his actions. I strongly believe he's trying to keep American citizens from peacefully making their voices heard. We just had a demonstration in my hometown of Long Beach, California. Over 500 people showed up. There was no vandalism, there were no arrests, and it was peaceful. And I want to thank them. Trump is trying to make it very clear that this is about intimidation. I believe he's fueling violence on our streets because he thinks it's politically helpful to him. And I actually want to remind our committee that when Donald Trump was president in 2020, that's actually when we saw surges in violent crime across the country. They increased under Donald Trump's watch. We should be focused on actual public safety.
Yeah, that's enough of that bullshit, sir. What does the chat say? From the time I said Skip Garcia in the Rumble chat? 1. People like 2. Okay. Oh yeah, we skip it. We skip it. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Biggs, Mr. Biggs. They call him Mr. Biggs. Are we skipping? All right. Let me track it back though.
How is
Let me get to the beginning of his shit just in case. Oh, goddamn. I hit it way too fucking fast and YouTube's flipping the fuck out now. All right. Let's hit up that chat. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Hold up.
Governors, I thank you and I yield back.
Chair now recognize Mr. Biggs from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I get a kick out of you, sanctuary state, county, city leaders who talk about having to deal with the border crisis. Cracks me up, actually. But at least, Governor Pritzker, you did call it a crisis in your statement. I appreciate that. Ultimately, as you said in your statement, you received 50,000 illegal aliens into Cook County. And Governor Hochul stated that New York received about 220,000 illegal aliens. That's fantastic that you know those numbers roughly. Now I want you to imagine you're a southern Arizona community of about 80,000 people, sitting right on the border. And over the course of the Biden administration, a couple of million people came through your little town. And I quote you, Governor Pritzker, Illinois didn't ask for this crisis.
10 seconds.
I'm gonna tell you, neither did Yuma, Arizona. Its lone hospital, only hospital, couldn't handle the influx, nor could its single food bank.
Welcome to Costco.
Its law enforcement,
I love you.
its schools, and other services.
All right, what are we doing here, ladies and gentlemen? Nobody on fucking Rumble voted for Biggs. Rumble, just step your game up. Get involved. Fuck. Hearings are your shot. What you want to hear? Who do you want to hear from? But then again, over fucking whelmingly no on YouTube. Let's go.
Services and infrastructure. That was a failure. You're correct on the part of the federal government under Joe Biden. That's all stopped now. That's all stopped now. Because it didn't take a new law. It took enforcement of the current law. But you know what drew a lot of those people? Because you might have been down there once. I've been down there dozens of times. I've taken more people from Congress down there than anybody else here. And you know what those people told me? They're coming here because they do. They do want. They wanted to get the
I'm
places,
sorry.
and they would name Chicago. And they would
Still,
name New
it's
York to me.
overwhelming.
I'd say, why the heck are
Yes,
you
for
crossing
Biggs.
here, not crossing at Del Rio? Because you guys offered sanctuary policies. They believed that they would be protected in your jurisdictions. And now that these millions of illegal aliens are here,
Now
permitted
sober.
to get here by the Democrats and the Biden administration, your jurisdiction.
I'm sorry, Rumble, y'all are going to have to watch the chat because when I pop in with that name right there, that's your voting. I can't do it on Rumble like I do on YouTube where I just pop up a little poll kind of situation. Y'all are going to have to watch chat. Be a little bit active. I apologize. Trying to get you involved.
Actually hinder the enforcement of immigration laws because of the sanctuary policies you've adopted. And then you have the temerity to complain about the influx of illegal aliens that strain your social services. Well, you did that. That's not even an unintended consequence. That's what it is. So I'll ask you, Governor Walz, do you agree with your Attorney General's opinion stating that it's not lawful for Minnesota counties to hold people for immigration authorities, even if there is an immigration warrant? Do you agree with his statement? That's his statement. It's not yours. I just want to know if you agree with him.
Yeah, well, I know you know this, Congressman, that all 87 Minnesota counties follow federal law.
I don't know that. I just want to know. I don't know that. Why would I know that? I'm just going by your Attorney General.
I haven't
He
got
says
the
not to
chance
do it. Do you agree with the Attorney General? That's all I'm asking.
The Attorney General is elected independently in Minnesota. Nothing in his opinion allows it. In Minnesota,
So are you telling me you disagree with him?
Could I
You
have 20
disagree with
seconds
him?
just to say?
I just want you to answer the question. You're not answering the question.
I served here, Congressman, and there's a respect to the witnesses to just be able to speak.
Yeah, there is, and there should be respect, and that respect from the witness should be to answer the question.
Our counties and jurisdictions can do whatever they deem necessary. They have to.
Do you agree with
before
your Attorney
federal-
General? Apparently, we don't know, because you're not going to answer. You're going to be oblique about it. So
that's unfair characterization. I'm trying to answer. I'm not the Attorney General of Minnesota.
Do you agree with his memo? And you're
does
killing
nothing-
time because you're filibustering. Do you agree with his memo? That's all I'm asking.
Nothing.
And you don't want to even answer it. You just say, oh, you know, maybe that, maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. Let's go to you, Governor Pritzker. A lawsuit was filed against you in the state of Illinois, and you responded. Your response to the claim is that Illinois has a quote constitutionally protected choice not to assist federal authorities with deportation, close quote. Give me the constitutional reference you're making there. What are you referring to?
Congressman, I don't know the lawsuit that you're referring to, and I don't know that I was the respondent in that lawsuit. I can say that
This is from the response filed on your behalf. So you didn't read the response? Well, let me then ask you, if that is the response officially of you, how is that consistent with Arizona versus U.S.? It's not. How is it consistent with 8 U.S.C. 287 D3? It's not. Let's just cover the last 18 seconds. When you guys say you say we do give these people information only on a criminal warrant. Is there any distinction in 8 U.S.C. 1373A, 1324, 1324C that says, yeah, you don't have to give information, you don't have to provide the body, you don't have to respond to the ICE detainer? Is there anything in there that says there's a distinction between the criminal law, the criminal warrant, the criminal detainer, and a civil warrant, civil detainer? Is there anything in there? The answer is no. I'll answer for you. You do violate the law. You are sanctuary cities. And every one of you sitting there, if you don't know that by now, you should know walking out of here that you are actually committing a federal crime every time someone does that, because you don't have the authority under federal law or under the Constitution to negate even a civil warrant for someone who's violated a federal offense when you get a detainer notice. Yield back.
Chair recognizes Mr. Frost from Florida.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I know how this is going to play out. All you old heads, I know. Are we skipping Frost? The post has been made.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All over the country, people are protesting.
Shit. You know what? I fucked up. Hold up. Let me restart that. I ended it immediately. There we go. Time starts now.
Non-violently, President Trump's treatment of immigrants, and they are right to. And I think it's important that we are clear as leaders about what's going on in this country right now. There is no mass deportation campaign. Deportation is a process that is not being followed right now. What's going on is people are being snatched up in the middle of the streets, trafficked, kidnapped in the middle of the streets, trafficked to other countries without due process. Trump is taking blatantly illegal and inhumane actions to stoke protests and then escalating things from there. Over the weekend, he sent the U.S. troops to California. This is dangerous. First, the California National Guard without the governor's support, and now the Marines. The Marines are trained to fight and win wars, not to de-escalate a protest in the heart of an American city. Members of our armed services have sworn an oath to the Constitution. They didn't swear an oath to Donald Trump, and they're not his personal army. And so in the face of a wannabe dictator, we have to have strong opposition.
10 seconds.
First, the Trump administration says they're going to arrest judges. Then they arrested a judge. Then they talk about arresting elected officials. Then a mayor gets arrested. Then they said they'd arrest a member of Congress, and one is...
Let's end the poll from my mark. Let's see. Skip Frost. It was Frost. Skip. 1 for Frost. No audio. Oh, there's audio. There should be audio. Yeah. Skip Frost overwhelmingly yes. Only one said no. That whole thing. All right. Y'all know who it is. What are we doing? Let me pull it back. Let me pull it back. Can we? Oh, we can now. Look at this. Look at this. We can do frame by fucking frame.
Pretty much zero opposition left to his lawlessness. We hear it in this room right now. And the last thing I want to say, too, is what's going on right now is not just a distraction from the fact that they want to pass a massive tax break for the richest Americans and take away services and things from working families, but it's to enable it.
Okay, fuck you. Oh, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, do we skip Higgins or not?
Governors, I guess thank you for being here today. This was staged to be it was bound to be political conflict here. But I'd like to get pretty real with each of you. I know Governor Walz pretty good. He and I came to be, believe it or not, America, Governor Walz and I came to be quite friendly. I consider him a friend for many years.
Come on, yes or no?
And it was
Tell me you
fascinating
like
that
him.
we disagreed on
Rumble,
almost everything
whatever.
politically. I doubt there was a vote we had in common, but I'm pretty sure I could call Governor Walz and get a straight answer, even now, at least in private. But in a setting like this, it's difficult to get a straight answer because you're being viewed so closely. All of us are. So I'm going to try and be real with you. And
10 seconds.
Governor Pritzker, I don't know you. Governor Hochul, I don't know you. I can tell you that that you strike me as extremely political and rather arrogant.
In that fucking poll, how's it looking? Skip Higgins on. All right. We got one for Keeb. Yeah, speed him up at least 1.25. We are already at that. 2 for Keep. Speed up, no skip. Jonathan. 3 for Keep. We are already at 1.25. If I shove it at the 1.5 for him, everybody else is going to be the squirrel out fucking moment. But overwhelmingly, it's a no situation. Let's hear out Higgins.
Again, quite smug, good lady. And this is a serious topic, man. We have hundreds of thousands of Americans dead from fentanyl that came across our border. Our nation suffered generational trauma for 4 years from open border policies. And we listened in ad nauseum, speech after speech after speech about how Mayorkas, who struck me as equally smug in many horrific meetings, said we need more money, we need more laws. We never needed more money. We never needed more laws. We needed an executive branch that had the will to enforce the law and thus end the trauma that the American people were continually suffering at our southern border. Now, the impact of that policy remains, and sanctuary cities are a large part of this thing. And I don't know the life of you three, your background. I don't know if you've held the hand of a mother or father, had to deliver to them the news that their child had been killed by a violent criminal. Prayed with that person, but I have. And the victims of crime commonly have a simple refrain. Why? Why? Why did this happen to my family? And I'm going to ask you, Governor Pritzker, and you, Governor Hochul, what do you say to those people when, have you ever had the courage to speak with one in person, in private, without cameras? And when they ask you why was this horrible person invited to Illinois or New York? Why do your sanctuary policies encourage, why did this guy that killed my daughter, why was he in my state? Why?
Representative.
Don't tell me it's limited resources.
Representative.
Don't tell me it's limited resources. I'll let you know when it's time for you to answer the question, madam. Don't tell me it's limited resources, because we're talking about the resource of righteousness and goodness. And God controls the bank of righteousness and goodness. And there's no limit to that withdrawal. Governor Pritzker, what do you tell a family when they ask you why? Why was this murderer in my state that came here across the border illegally and was encouraged to come to my state by your policies? Go.
You said invited or encouraged. 50,000 people
invited
were
and encouraged by
50,000
sanctuary
people were
politics.
shipped to my state by a
Don't
border
beat
state
around the
governor.
bush. Own it, man.
I'm not beating
Own
it.
it.
I'm telling you, 50,000 people were shipped to my state by a
Would you ship
Republican
them back?
border state governor.
50,000 is a smidgen. We have 15 million cross the border.
I understand.
I'm glad they bust some to you.
I have been clear
your sanctuary
about
policies
favoring border security. There was a bill last year
couple
on
of
that
seconds
very
here.
subject, sir.
On the
Governor
question of
Holt.
what
And
I'd
you
say to
oppose
that
it.
family, I would say my heart is breaking for you. I'm a mother. When you
I'm going to bring it back to this. Trevor, you fucked around and found out. Marlene, are you going to sign up your kids to work on the farm fields for $5 an hour? Because if not, your produce is about to skyrocket. Free Palestine! Are you literally trying to sit there and tell me that because our produce is so low, it's all because of slave fucking labor? Oh, come on. Hold on. $5 an hour? Bitch made motherfucker. Minimum wage is 7.25. So you're telling me because these illegals are working the farm in California for lower than minimum wage than any other motherfucker in America would work, you're happy with that? Isn't that indentured servitude? Isn't that fucking slavery? Holy fuck, ladies and gentlemen, we've found the heart of goddamn slavery in this country, and it is LA with their goddamn illegal immigration. Suck a dick, motherfucker. Checkmate. You lost.
You describe the pain of a family like that. I've been there. I have held victims' families in my
That's a
arms.
good start.
And I'll tell you this,
Mr. Chairman,
you appear to be a
my time has
religious
expired.
person.
I yield.
But we are called.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair recognizes Ms. Lee from Pennsylvania.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, I recognize ranking member for unanimous consent.
Okay, a couple of things. One, I want to raise a point of order. It is against the rules to attack or to breach the decorum with respect to our witnesses. You can't.
Well, the ranking member
you
has a
look
different
like this, or
definition
you
of
look
attack
like
than I
that.
do.
You
That's
look like
for
this.
sure.
You cannot criticize the countenance of a witness when they come before the committee. You can raise issues, no question, but you cannot personally attack a witness. That is not within the rules. That is not in accordance with decorum here. And I would raise that same concern if
Did the ranking
if one of
member
our
not call
members
us
attacking.
Nazis?
All right. Proceed with unanimous consent.
Secondly, unanimous consent. I have asking unanimous consent to submit a document entitled "Trump wants to cut funding to sanctuary cities and towns, but they don't actually violate the federal law."
Without objection to order, Chair now recognizes Ms. Lee from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. It's always funny, the lack of decorum that.
Sorry, guys. Came back just at the right time. Had to take a piss. You know what time it is. Rashida Tlaib, the Bulldogs asshole herself. Do we skip Tlaib? And time starts now.
That we get, and people we do drop the Gentleman Act here oftentimes when attacking women who.
Wait, this is Miss Lee. Shit. Fuck it. Hold up. I thought it was Tlaib. I heard from the background.
Unanimous consent.
Not call us Nazis.
All right.
Admit you violate.
It's funny, the lack of.
Okay. Sorry. I fucked up poll on that one. I heard wrong. Oh my god, damn it. This one is Skip a Lee. Are we skipping Lee or are we not? And time starts now.
Without objection to order, Chair now recognizes Ms. Lee from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. It's always funny, the lack of decorum that we get, and people we do drop the Gentleman Act here oftentimes when attacking women who aren't able to defend themselves with equal time. But that's kind of the theme here, right? Attacking Americans or people who are not able to defend themselves, or at least who Republicans hope can't defend themselves. And that's what we're seeing essentially in Los Angeles. So I would say that this hearing is quite timely. What's happening with ICE and the military in Los Angeles is terrifying, and is directly caused by Trump's policy policies and his cruelty. It was Trump's overzealous ICE agents who started this specific incident. And now they want us to get bogged down in arguing over the right types of protest or the right types of way or the right way to defend yourself, the mythical perfect type, so that we could ignore that Trump is the one who is escalating all of this. Trump is the one who ordered in thousands of National Guardsmen over the objection of Governor Newsom, something that hasn't been done since 1965. Trump is the one deploying Marines, not on an enemy abroad, but on the American people who are exercising their First Amendment right in this instance. The only opportunity that they have to
10
defend
seconds.
themselves against lawless lawmakers who are imposing cruelty upon them. For a party of so-called law and order folks, they sure are stampeding over people's constitutional rights and intentionally inciting more chaos, more fear, more anxiety, and increasing the likelihood that people will get hurt. In the end, what's happening in Los Angeles is just one of many incidents where Trump and his administration have not given.
Okay. Let's see where this goes. Before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, Jennifer. Congratulations on the 500 Rumble subs. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all are popping off on Rumble, and I love it. Again, with the Jennifer, congratulations, 500. Hell yeah, we doing some. Deluxe Night with a 5. As far as I know, there is no way farm workers get $5 an hour, illegal or not. Until 4 years ago, California had the highest minimum wage. Now Washington is, and agriculture has even paid more overtime. $255,000, an estimated $255,000, according to what we saw last night. 255,000 illegal fucking immigrants are working the fucking fields for pennies on the fucking dollar. All right. So if you want to be about illegals, if you're all about that shit, why are you paying them pennies on the fucking dollar? Why? Because you know you can get away with it. Black people, they've pushed you the fuck aside. You are no longer the oppressed class. That is now the illegal immigrants in this country. We skipping this bitch. Let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, the old woman herself. Let's see if you want to listen to Miss Fox. Starting the poll, and the time starts now.
15-minute bathroom break. But before we do that, I'm going to go to Dr. Fox for 5 minutes of questions. After Dr. Fox, we'll take a 15-minute break for the witnesses, and then we'll start back with Mr. Kassar. So Chair recognizes Dr. Fox from North Carolina for 5 minutes.
Okay,
Thank you very
so
much,
we got
Mr.
Kassar
Chairman.
next.
Governor Walz, as you're aware, Minnesota saw the largest COVID-19 fraud scheme in the nation. The so-called nonprofit Feeding Our Future falsely claimed to have served 91 million meals to children, for which it received nearly $250 million in federal funds. According to the FBI, the $250 million in federal taxpayer money
We got a
was,
contrarian.
quote, funneled into luxury homes, cars, and lavish lifestyles while families struggled. In March, 2 individuals were convicted in connection with this case, and I understand related investigation continues. The FBI stated that, quote, the egregious fraud uncovered in the Feeding Our Future case represents the blatant betrayal of public trust. The FBI will not allow criminals to rob federal programs and walk away unscathed. We'll expose their schemes, dismantle their networks, and ensure they face the full weight of justice. Do you support the federal government's efforts to bring to justice those who stole federal taxpayer money at the expense of hungry children in your state?
Thank you, Dr. Fox, wholeheartedly. And this is a great example. When the federal government works with the state, we reported it, they prosecuted them, they are in prison.
10
So do you
seconds.
support federal efforts to bring to justice those who commit federal crimes in Minnesota?
I most certainly do.
Okay. Does Minnesota honor ICE detainer requests?
All right, let's see what y'all got. Where is that? Skip Fox is skipped. Dude day. Okay. I guess that's 1. Skip no passion 2. 3. Trump went, yep. 3 from that side. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, Jesus. 2 on yes. That would be 5 on yes. 3 on no. We're skipping Fox. We're skipping Ms. Fox. All right. We're doing the in recess point at this time. So, let's start the next one. Before I hit up that poll, I got to make sure that everything's set for him. All right, let's go. As soon as he starts talking, I'll roll that time.
Attempt to come back in order. Give the witnesses a second to
drag you in
for 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, governors. Republicans have dragged you in today for questioning because they say your immigration policies are dangerous for American citizens. So I want to ask each of you some questions about recent events affecting U.S. citizens. Governor Pritzker, was it your administration or was it the Trump administration that arrested a 10-year-old U.S. citizen recovering from brain cancer and sent her to Mexico?
It was the Trump administration, sir.
Correct. That was the Trump
Jennifer,
administration.
clarify.
Governor Walz, was it your administration or was it the Trump administration that jailed an American for days, alleging he was in the country illegally, despite him being a U.S. citizen?
I believe that was the Trump administration.
That's correct. That was the Trump administration. Governor Hochul, was it your administration or was it the Trump administration that arrested a totally innocent U.S. citizen, pregnant woman who wound up in the hospital after her detention?
Those horrific
10
situations
seconds.
are all the results of the Trump administration's over-enforcement of our laws.
That was just this week, and that's correct.
That's
that was
right.
the Trump administration. Let me be clear. Democratic.
All right, let's end it. Let's see what we got from the moment I said it on Rumble. The skip. Okay, so there's 2 on Rumble. And, okay. We're skipping. Next is Mr. Fallon. Mr. Fallon's up next. Let's roll it back. Let's see. From the moment we have it. I can do it frame by fucking frame. Look at this. All right. Skip ahead. Let's roll it back with Fallon. Are we? Okay. You sick son of a fucking bitch. No. There ain't no damn way you gonna try and do that to me. This is fucked up. Okay. So we're going to play it from here. No. I swear to fucking God. Okay, so apparently the frame by frame ain't working.
Trump and Governor Abbott have even sent troops to my district in downtown San Antonio, a place that has been perfectly orderly and peaceful. Because, as always, we know Donald Trump is trying to stoke up chaos and division. And he doesn't care who gets hurt in the process. He wants to start a fire, pour gasoline on it, and blame somebody else for the flames. So if you're watching at home,
things any governor, or quite frankly, any elected official can do is
Chats
to keep their
up.
citizens and constituents safe.
I would, Congressman.
Great, I would agree. And I ask this because when I was reading your bio that you provided, nowhere did you mention the safety and security of Minnesotans or fighting crime or supporting law enforcement, or for that matter, the rule of law. So I want to take you back to 2020. You were the governor of Minnesota. There were summer protests. You referred to them as peaceful demonstrations. In hindsight, would you still stand by that? Were they mostly peaceful?
Congressman, after the murder of George Floyd on the streets, thousands gathered in the streets, were there those that...
But Governor, were they mostly peaceful protests?
The vast majority certainly
They
were.
were.
Those that weren't...
So why would you have to call out the National Guard for mostly peaceful protests?
They weren't all peaceful protests.
Okay, so they weren't, all right, mostly. So, Governor, the total damage in dollars, what was that in Minnesota for the peaceful protests?
I don't have that in...
All right, according to the insurance industry in Minnesota, they put the number between 1 and 2 billion, and your own state Senate put the price tag at 500 million. So if that's a peaceful protest in Minnesota, I shudder to think what a violent one would cost. Governor, I'd like to keep things simple.
Okay. I did not call it that. We had folks who were there, and they're in prison.
Okay, great. I'd like to keep things simple as far.
All right, fuck it. Listen to Paul. Get following. Nobody on Rumble. Y'all are slacking. YouTube is going to take it. It's a 50-50. Let's keep going then. The 50-50s, they stay.
As far as when we talk about federal detainers, and I've talked to several federal law enforcement officials about this. So a detainer is issued when someone's already in custody and confined, jail, prison, court. It's not somebody just plucked off the street randomly. And there's really 3 conditions, and it's and/or probable cause that a foreign national is subject to removal from this country. Final deportation order has been issued, or it's a foreign national that's been convicted of a crime and is about to be released. So sanctuary states won't cooperate with federal law enforcement. In Minnesota, do you cooperate sometimes, never, or all the time?
We follow federal law in all 87 counties and all jurisdictions. Some of them do honor detainer requests.
Some do and some don't.
That's correct.
Okay.
Counties have the ability.
Okay. So, Governor, would you commit here and now, and this is really simple, I think it's commonsensical, to compel state and locals in Minnesota to cooperate with all federal detainers issued by federal law enforcement when it involves a foreign national that's been convicted of a felony? And I'm talking about kidnappers, rapists, child molesters, murderers, predators, parasites, scumbags. In all those
of a felony being held by my state corrections, every time we call.
Every single time you're going to do that.
Every time we
in
call
Minnesota.
them and have them come pick it up. What I would ask you to commit to is, are you going to fund ICE's what they don't pay us?
Deluxe, you're right. I missed it. It is slavery as long as landowners build housing on the farm for the imported workers. Sound familiar? There's a couple large orchards that have taken advantage after WA took away piecework. As long as landowners build housing on farms for the imported workers. Yeah, indentured servitude. You were there to live. They supplied you, but you had to pay them from the money that you made from them, which kept you there. You could never break out of that. Yes.
Us on detainers.
Well, listen, on detainers and in ICE, I don't call them the Gestapo. And this is my definition of Gestapo, Governor. Real Nazis from 1933 to 1945 that facilitated and participated in the murder of millions. I don't call federal law enforcement officers Gestapo. You were recently quoted. Where's the apology?
Donald Trump.
Oh, no, Donald Trump didn't. Listen, Donald Trump's not here.
Yeah.
You are, Governor.
Yeah.
You're a big boy. Put your big boy pants on.
I would ask, don't wear masks. Identify who you are. Don't pull up and
Governor, you called them Gestapo. Will you apologize for that?
Don't pull people.
Will you apologize for that?
Congressman, my job, I'm a history.
Okay, so you won't. Okay, we're going to move on. No,
Governor,
Chairman, I reclaim my time. If you won't answer the question. I think that's hyperbolic demagoguery. I mean, you said that in a speech, maybe you got a little carried away. I don't know if you apologize for that too, that you were, quote, going to kick Republicans' asses. I mean, I didn't say that. You said it. And that's dangerous rhetoric, especially when you use Gestapo. That's lazy too, and it's terribly inaccurate. The fact of the matter is, again, time and again, you've excused violence and you use dangerous, irresponsible rhetoric. And you can choose between being on the side of law enforcement or the side of vicious criminals. And you've chosen the latter time and again. I don't know why. Maybe it's because you want to impress your limousine liberal friends when you're eating wine and cheese, or you're getting your coffee every morning at the hemp store. I don't know, but I think it's ignorant and I think it's culpable and I think it's disgusting. And I can see why the American people on November 5th made it a very bad night for you and a very great night for our future. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Chair now recognizes, is Ms. Crockett here?
I gotta finish this. Okay.
Okay.
Is she here?
Then Chair recognizes Mr. Bell from Missouri.
Mr. Bell from Missouri. I think I remember this dude. But Rumble chat is up. YouTube is going, and now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and our witnesses for being here today. I think that it's important for leaders to be honest and understand the nuance of issues. And as my grandmother used to say, all the easy problems have already been solved. We're left with the tough ones. And so it's important to our constituents that
still
we're
kicking
explaining
in.
the nuance in these
Aneurysm
issues.
might
And this
occur,
hearing is yet another
but
attempt
stroke, no.
at dismantling the system of power and the rule of law in America. The administration's threats to withhold funding and resources from states to coerce them to adhere to federal immigration law is unconstitutional, period. The deployment of federal troops without authorization is unconstitutional, period. Masked, unidentified ICE agents snatching people off the streets is unconstitutional, period. And since my colleague brought this up,
10
Governor
seconds.
Walz, I'm a former prosecutor. Is it good precedence to allow masked men to show up and take people off the streets, not even identifying themselves?
No, and it also puts law.
Ladies and gentlemen, last minute fucking vote came the fucking Deluxoite with the 5. Every time I hear and see Walls, I want to use his head as a fat fuck face basketball and wedge him between the rim and the backboard. I mean, he put tampons in the boys' bathroom and expected them not to fuck around. Come on. But, ladies and gentlemen, Skip Bell, yes. The 66%. No, with the 33%. Oh, that was kind of close. That's kind of close, I'm not going to lie. But, oh my God. Y'all saw it. Y'all saw We gotta skip Bell. Chat runs, Bell. Sorry, you're new to the game.
Welcome back. The opportunity that we have today to talk about this
Who the
brings
fuck
up a
is
lot of
this?
issues.
Oh, Mr. Sessions. Poll is running and time starts now.
I think we all understand and we know this. There are over 600,000 migrant children that cross the border without supervision from 2020 forward. 600,000 children. We're sitting here arguing about a lot of things, but during the Biden administration, they took no steps, none, to affect, and this is from an IG report. They did not, they were unprepared. They did not know what they were doing. They let people come across. They didn't check. They just took people's word
Come
for it.
on, guys.
And we still have these, of those 233 migrant
Rumble,
children
make it easy
were
for
never
me.
even given dates to appear in an immigration court. No dates by the Biden administration. Here, come on in. Here you go. I would suggest to you that each of you are participatory for bringing people because of your words. Your words of New York
10
is
seconds.
open, Illinois is open for business. We want you to come. We want you to be here. And terrible things have happened in our country as a result.
Let's see. Oh. Hold on. Does Rumble override? Do we skip Sessions? Sessions is tolerable. I'll take that as a no. Okay. So we're keeping. Oh, my bad. So Richard is the next president going to go through all the old Rumble chat and put us in jail. LA Jason. I mean, as much as Rumble has been under attack, I don't know. But if that were the case, you'd have to go through YouTube too, because YouTube, y'all motherfuckers on YouTube with the censorship and everything that actually happens, y'all motherfuckers have become innovative in saying your own language to say the same shit in different words. And it's amazing to see how that works. But got to bring it to Sessions.
Of a false promise. I know you're perfectly willing to pay millions of dollars to people out of your own coffers, but the bottom line is they came through Texas and other areas, and it caused a great deal of carnage and harm. And these migrants are in trouble. They're in trouble. The entire pathway to be taken advantage of and to cause harm, not just to themselves, but other people. I would submit to you, all three of you have encouraged people to come, and the numbers are stunning about the numbers of not just people that got caught, but those people that came here who have criminal records, and they appear on terrorist watch lists. And I would ask each of you, are you aware that when you put your open Come to America sign, come to the state of Minnesota, come to Illinois, come to New York, are you aware that you were doing that where there would not be a background check, where there would be people who would openly hear this who were criminals and terrorists, and they evaded this process and overwhelmed law enforcement? You created a gold rush. You created a rush whereby people came, and the entire pathway is littered with not only brand new areas, and it's the number of communities that now participate under 280G has exploded. And that is because it is the drug cartel's plan to have someone in every single city around America. In Texas, it used to be Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, maybe Fort Worth and El Paso. Now it is smaller cities, even in the congressional district that I represent. They brought their marketing team with them because there are people who still owe the cartels. This is not a new story. When Vice President Biden, he spoke about receiving a briefing from DEA, understanding there were people that had to pay off the cartels for being here. Each and every one of you have participated. Each and every one of you have put a green light out. Please come, be with us. We'll take care of you. And it has caused carnage. Governor Walz?
Well, thank you, Congressman. First of all, I think the idea of a nation of immigrants, no one asked for folks who were illegally.
We bring in over 1 million people
Absolutely
that
not.
legally go through a process, know what our rules are. We do background checks.
That's what
we're
we do
talking
the
about.
legal- that's what we
Millions
need
of
to pass
people
a
know
bill.
back.
The likes, thank you for the 5. Child mind molesters. No terror this time. I'm surprised that shit still goes through. Because you put mind in between child and molester, somehow that gets through. That is fucking weird.
Background check.
We need to make sure the legal process is done, and those that shouldn't be here aren't.
Okay. That's your viewpoint now. That's not what has been said in the past. That's not what Governor Hochul said at the period of time when people were flooding in. It was seen as being okay, just come. Governor Pritzker?
Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
I will say this before he continues even further. I will say this. We are sitting down with the Lux Night this Saturday. We're going to go riot watching. Cameras will be off. All you will see is what is going on in the world. I'm going to say this. Sessions, you need to fix your face. But we're going to be sitting down with the Lux. And as long as he don't go overboard with too much, please, I need to talk with you about that. But as long as you are not advocating for anything, I think we can run with it. However, we will be watching what pops off on the Saturday fucking night, talking with the Lux. No camera, just voice. Let's go.
Thank you, Congressman. As a great-grandson of an immigrant to this country, I can tell you that my views about immigration are that it's a positive for this nation. In general, immigration is
legally.
Legal immigration. Now, let's talk about what has happened over certainly the last 40 years, if not much longer, which is...
Why don't we go the last 4? Because we've never had anything like the last 4. Let's not put this into a context of history. Let's put it under you as governor, your public comments, Governor Walz's comments, and Governor Hochul's public comments to encourage people to break the law, to come through my state and cause carnage, and drug cartels to have people now where they have a marketing organization everywhere to where communities have to have a 287G problem because they have people staying where they had never stayed before.
Well, that mischaracterizes things that I have said. Let me just be clear. We have had 40 years of failure at the border and failure of immigration policy. We'll talk about the last 4 years, right? There were people that came to the border, got because the federal government decided that because there's law that allows this. Right?
There was not law that allowed it. There was a presidential directive.
Okay, fair enough. We're not in charge of the border in Illinois. I can tell you that. We don't have a border with a foreign
Well, you
nation other
encouraged
than
knowing there
we have Lake Michigan
there'd be
between us and
tens of
Canada.
thousands of children that would come. Governor Hochul.
We had 50,000 people who came from Texas because they were shipped to us. And let me tell you, I was in favor of helping them helping Texas, indeed, find a way to provide for them. We as a nation should be welcoming people to this country.
Not illegally.
And handling.
That's the difference, and you need to say that. Mr. Chairman, I know my time is up. I'd like to
Congressman.
ask unanimous consent to enter to the record United States Department of Homeland Security Management Report, August 19th, 2024, March 2025, where unaccompanied alien children.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes the ranking member for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, here we go. Here we fucking go. Ranking member is Mr. Lynch. Do we skip? And we got the polls started. Oh, we pulled a 5-minute.
To have a unanimous consent request for an article from The Nation magazine dated May 23rd, 2025, entitled, "Trump Wants Thousands of Migrant Children to Represent Themselves in Court."
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes Ms. Tlaib.
Thank you, Mr.
Well, fuck. Fuck. Fuck that. Okay. I guess we fucking up all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. Do we skip Rashida Tlaib? I don't want to say anything myself and kind of fuck up the vote, but do we skip Rashida Tlaib now?
Chair, to all the witnesses, all of our governors, thank you for being here. I want to start with questions really quick, yes or no. Do you believe in due process for everyone, no matter their immigration status?
I do.
I do.
Yes.
What if they didn't vote for you?
I still support them.
I represent
Doesn't matter,
everyone in my.
right? They disagree with you on immigration. They disagree with you on climate, LGBTQ, right? All of you?
We take care of everyone who lives in our state.
So what about Palestinian human rights? I'll start with you, Governor.
Yes, support.
Human rights for everyone, yes.
Do you believe they
Palestinian.
deserve due process, even if you disagree with them on Palestinian human rights position?
Yes.
Governor?
Yes, we have, and by the way, we have
Well, Governor Hochul-
Palestinian American population.
Oh, I know.
in the
I'm aware of
country.
that,
Okay,
sir.
yes, ma'am.
Governor Hochul, how about you?
Yes, we do.
Your constituent Mahmoud Khalil is still in ICE detention. Are you aware of him?
Very much so, and I'm hoping he's returned home on Friday. Because
Yeah, we're
he's been
working on that. So
been
he's a legal
denied due
permanent
process.
resident. I know. This is important. He's a legal permanent resident. He was kidnapped over 3 months ago. And, one of the things I want to do is, if I may, Chairman, submit for the record a letter from Mahmoud Khalil to.
Overwhelmingly get rid of the bulldog's asshole with painted on eyebrows. All right. We got Mr. Palmer. Let me get it set up. Moment. I can't type. I cannot type worth a fuck. All right, are we skipping Palmer?
Ma'am, that's a yes or no. Either you know or you don't.
Yep. Let's go back to the very beginning of it.
In doing
Chair,
Article 6 Constitution, the Supremacy Clause, that by declaring your states sanctuary states, you declared your intent to violate federal law. With that, are you aware that illegal aliens with known ties to terrorist organizations are now residing in the United States? That's a yes or no. Quickly, yes or no. Governor Walz.
I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I would assume
You should
yes.
have. Governor Pritzker.
I know that's been alleged. I don't have firsthand knowledge myself.
You should have. Governor Hochul.
My Joint Terrorism Task Force has surveillance.
Ma'am, that's a yes
We're
or
aware.
no. Either you know or you don't.
We are aware.
That's amazing. Considering that the Customs Border Patrol reported just in fiscal year 23, 736 encounters with illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations. And there's over it's 2.2 million estimated gotaways. We have no idea how many known terrorists are in our country. Do you support the
10
arrest and
seconds.
deportation of illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations? So yes or no? Governor Walz.
If due process is given, certainly.
Governor Pritzker.
Exactly. We need
Governor
due
Hochul.
process before we
Hochul.
arrest people.
What are we talking? What are we talking, ladies and gentlemen? Just so as to know. Y'all are falling off at the votes. Are we doing too much?
Yes or no?
Anyone involved in a crime, we
Ma'am,
cooperate.
yes or no?
We cooperate when
Ma'am,
any
yes
crimes
or
are-
no?
We cooperate
You
with any
cannot
crimes.
give a straight answer, and the answer is you're giving safe harbor to people with ties to terrorist organizations. Are you aware of that? Let me tell you. You're shielding members of known terrorist organizations such as MS-13, Tren de Aragua, Brown Pride Azteca, Barrios Azteca, Serenos, which is otherwise known as SIR-13, and the 18th Street Gang. Those are designated terrorist organizations. Many of these are the people responsible for bringing fentanyl in that's killed, along with other drugs, killed over 100,000 people per year. We're no longer in a war on drugs. We're involved in a war with drugs. These are casualties. Are you aware that the Department of Homeland Security identified over 400 illegal aliens who were smuggled into the United States with the help of an affiliate of ISIS? Are you aware of that, Governor Walz?
Congressman, I don't have direct knowledge of that.
Well, I'll help you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter to the record article from NBC News. DHS identifies over 400 migrants brought in the United States by an IS-affiliated human smuggling network. Is that a problem?
Without objections ordered.
Does that raise any concern for you?
None of us want terrorists in this country.
Then why are you shielding people here from being picked up by our ICE agents, referring to this as a Gestapo organization? You know, I never want to get up on another morning like I did on September 11th, 2001. There are people in this country who are here with the full intent to do us harm. They came across our borders illegally. 358 of them crossed the northern border into New York. Not all of them into New York, but some of them came through New York. There's arms smuggling across the Canadian border into New York. And you're shielding these people. Are you aware that if just 1/2% of the estimated 15 million, 14.7 million to be exact, that came into our country illegally during the Biden administration, if just 1/2% are tied to criminal organizations or terrorist organizations, that constitutes more than the combined active duty forces of the Army and Marines? Does that not strike you as something that should be of great concern to us?
Since you raised New York, I'd like to answer.
Are you aware?
We cooperate fully with all investigations, particularly terrorists. I mean, you
Well, how do
cannot
you know
say
if they're
9/11 and not invoke
How do you
incredible
know,
emotion
Governor
from us.
Hochul, that they're terrorists if you don't allow people to be picked up who came here illegally to at least give an account for the president?
We say
how
they
do you
should be
know
vetted to
if they're
board
not part of that 400 that we know came in through an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling operation? You don't know. You're not even looking into that.
You're pointing to an abject failure of the federal government to do its job to secure
what
our
I'm pointing
borders.
out here is that your sanctuary policies now constitute a threat to our national security.
We cooperate in all criminal investigations.
You are engaged
Always
in
have, always will.
operations against federal government attempts to enforce federal law that I think now constitutes a threat to our national security, and you're in violation of federal law.
That's 100% false.
And charges for obstruction should be brought against each one of you for doing this. I'll leave that up to the Department of Justice, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Crockett.
Ladies and gentlemen, look, we're going to have a hard stop after this one. I already know who's coming up. Are we skipping Crockett? Y'all know what it is. After this, we will take a hard stop and be back tomorrow with this, because apparently the LA riots and everything that is taking precedence, and not a lot of news is popping off except for Israel striking Iran. Here we go.
From Texas.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chair,
point of
okay.
order, point of order. That was intimidation of the witness.
Do you have a point of inquiry?
Yes, I have a point of inquiry.
State your point.
Raising the prospect of charges against witnesses.
Hold up. I'm going to take a pause from this. We're going to hear AOC out, and then we'll roll as soon as Crockett is able to start.
Is a form of intimidation, is it not? Thank you. Thank you, and I withdraw the question. I appreciate it.
Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, time starts and now.
And thank you so much to our governors. And I want to say I apologize. I apologize for the abuse that you are facing in this committee that is supposed to be about waste, fraud, and abuse. And I also apologize for wasting your time, because this is nothing more than political theater. Now, again, this committee is supposed to be about waste, fraud, and abuse. We did not have to have this faux creation of Doge. The committee itself, that is our job. So what I want to talk about is something that the American people may want to know, which is economically, how is this impacting them? These failed immigration policies that are only put on so that they can have a show, because we have a reality show president who seemingly still believes that this is all about TV instead of real lives. So let me talk about something really quickly, because I want to clarify something, because I believe that all of you understand the importance of something like tourism. Are you aware, any of you, are you aware as to whether or not tourism in the United States is anticipated?
I'm going to end that a little bit early because I already know how this is going to turn out. Ladies and gentlemen, I override the fucking chat simply for one fucking reason, and we're definitely going to end it here. Yes, the ghetto is there. Yes, that fake ass shit is there. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the brand new Jasmine Crockett. Everybody's talking, everybody knows all the bullshit. However, she turned a 180 really fucking quickly, did she not? Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen.
To decrease to the extent that we are estimated to lose $12.5 billion in international vendor spending in just the year 2025.
I can answer as the tourism capital of the country.
I assume you could.
Tourism's already down. It is down in the North Country, where the Canadians refuse to come over because of the hostility toward their country. It's happening in New York City. It's happening at our sporting events, our theater. There's a ripple effect throughout our entire economy because of the change in attitude that our country, that once welcomed people from all over the world to visit and recreate and to live here, now feels like a very hostile place to them. It is going to have an economic impact on our bottom line, without a doubt.
So let's talk about it a little bit more. So I am supposed to have a number of FIFA games in Dallas, and I am fully anticipating that we are going to have a problem, because I've been receiving phone calls that people don't feel safe coming here, and it's not the immigrants. It's this government that is making them feel unsafe. But let me also do this, because they love to cherry pick. They can find, any one person that has been killed. And if they've been killed by an immigrant, then God darn it, every single immigrant is going out and they are killers. And that is the problem. But they don't want to talk about white supremacy. I don't know how many hearings we're going to have about the fact that there's been this one immigrant that killed this one person. And no, I'm not excusing any killings by them or white supremacists. But they haven't had these hearings. We didn't have a hearing on Buffalo and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on El Paso and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on Charleston and what happened there. So it's interesting that they pick and choose, because it seems like they love to pal around with the white supremacists, and so they don't want to talk about certain other things. But economically, I want to make sure that we're making this point again, because I know that Governor Pritzker, you were the beneficiary of a lot of things from the state of Texas. And a lot of people believe that Republicans are fiscally responsible, but instead they are actually fiscally irresponsible, because what he spent was a whopping $221 million transporting people from Texas to your state. Something tells me that he could have done something else with that $221 million. In addition...
Oh, the $221 million where Greg Abbott was saying, hey, we need to take control of this because everything's going wonky. And Joe Biden and his administration said, no, fuck you, we're going to continue to do this. And then Greg Abbott said, nah, I'm going to fucking actually support my fucking citizens. I'm going to protect them. And he started putting shit up on the border. And then all of a sudden, the federal government shut down their liquid natural gas production, which is the biggest fucking export out of Texas. And all of a sudden, we have this whole thing with Joe Biden and the executive orders and the auto pen situation. Bitch made motherfucker, are you really talking this shit? But again, like I said, that image, diamond in the rough for the Democrat Party. Ladies and gentlemen,
to that, I know that there's been some conversations about what's going on in LA, and they want to say that it's riots because they didn't want people to keep talking about, say, the Epstein files or whatever other drama was popping off between the president and his little friend. So they wanted to change the conversation to immigration because they feel like, well, the polling is in our benefit. But let me tell you something. If they cared about making sure we were going to be fiscally responsible, they would tell the American people that it cost them $134 million to send the National Guard to LA for the quote-unquote riots that the governor didn't ask for, nor did the mayor of LA ask for, and they sent them over there, and they say that they care about our service members, yet they sent them and they were laying on the floor. They did not provide for food. So I don't know why we would believe that, number one,
You mean like the entire time when they brought in the National Guard, 71 minutes because of Nancy Pelosi, and then after they literally took some photo shoots and drove around for a couple of hours, slept in a car fucking park? Is that what you're talking about, whore? Oh, no?
they want to fix this. They don't want to fix this because the brokenness is a feature, not a flaw of the system, because it is beneficial to them when it comes to campaigning. If they can't stoke fear, then why are they going to say have anybody vote for them?
I mean, Jesus Christ, everything you've got is stoking fucking fear. Even right down to the white man.
Because that's what people are doing. They're voting out of fear. But Ms. Perryman, we know each other a little well. And I know you got a law degree. And it seems like we all need law degrees in here nowadays to understand the Constitution. So really briefly.
No. The problem is that you have a law degree and you think just because you have a law degree that you can actually stand up to the Constitution. That is the insult to the American fucking people.
I just want to make this point.
Never mind the fact that you are goddamn civil fucking, those sons of bitches that couldn't pay, court-appointed lawyers. Yeah, you were that. You were that before you were dancing in the halls of Congress with your tongue hanging out, playing a fucking character, thinking that this is ghetto hood rat trash actual appearance. And the Democrat Party said, no, that image is not going to fucking work. Pull it the fuck back. Hey, yet that ghetto hood rat trash still exists. However, she has pulled back that goddamn image to a point that the ghetto hood rat trash still exists. We understand that. But if shit were to pop off with her right now, what can you say bad about her? Other than the fact that you just don't like her because she's mouthy? The same fucking argument with rat foreskin, right? I gotta pee.
There is a certain person that was afforded, say, due process. But let's say if, say, Donald Trump had been charged with all of these cases that he got charged with in 4 different jurisdictions, if he wasn't afforded due process, there could have been a possibility that he just would have been locked up and thrown somewhere, right?
That would be a possibility.
And then maybe we wouldn't have a tariff war or anything else that we're dealing with or all the other nonsense. But the point is, he was afforded due process. And regardless of the political opposition, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, I thought, believe that due process should be afforded to everybody, even him.
Due process is for everyone.
Okay, so the Fifth Amendment doesn't say that it's just for the people that are Americans?
It does not.
It says anybody on our soil?
It's for everyone.
Okay, it's pretty simple. I don't know why we are having issues, but I thank you and I will yield.
Chair recognizes Dr. Gosar from Arizona. Oh, before I recognize Dr. Gosar, Mr. Palmer has a unanimous consent request.
To enter to the record testimony before the Subcommittee of Oversight and Government Reform, Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement, from Joseph M. Humeyer, who is.
Without objection to order.
Mr. Chair, I have unanimous consent.
Okay, Ms. Tlaib.
Can I please issue into to the record a statement from Senators Chang, Kavanaugh, and Santana and Bayer in response to the ICE detention and deportation of Mikel Bogoya Duranto.
Without objection to order. Now, Chair recognizes Dr. Gosar from Arizona.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Gonna hold it right there. Got Mr. Gosar coming up next. Look, it's a slow ass fucking news week. It's a Friday where news goes to die. There ain't shit really gonna pop off except for this Israel situation. And I guarantee goddamn to you, Saturday is gonna be lit as fuck. But we're going to have a continuation. Part 2 comes up tomorrow. And again, you still have control. Who do we listen to? Who do we not? I appreciate the fuck out of every single one of you. Y'all make this fucking possible. We will see you again tomorrow night. Have fun. Enjoy. Part 2 of this shitstorm happens tomorrow. Have a good night.
Comes a president. We can't start our own little business here.
That's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm closing in the night getting. There ain't no point in resisting. Living life like a dream, live it right, that's the thing. Every night got a team, I've been tied to the scene. Out on stage, here I'm screaming, okay, it's a dream. And I pray as a team, one day it'll be me. If I want it, then I'll get it. Head down, don't regret it. Push myself to the limit. If I play it, then I win it. I'm just saying, I'm just living for today. For a minute, I don't stay, I just lose it. Have no shame, I admit it. Looking on me to see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.